talk to could you develop just a little bit more on how you all plan to educate the student population so that they're aware of the ordinance being enacted?
It would probably be a variety of different means. We would, of course, do news releases, we do television interviews, we would utilize social media, just trying to, we talk to the battalion. That's a good feed into the student population. But we do anything and everything we could to try and get the message out. We come speak at different organizations to gain, provide some understanding as to what the ordinance that we ended up with looks like in various different particulars with regard to that.
With 20 seconds remaining, we'll go to Chair Ramos.
Mr. John.
All right, Chair Rosine.
Chair Rosine, rules and regulations. How long is the grace period usually?
Typically, it's 2 weeks, I believe. I think it's a 2-week period.
Nice. And with that, the period question and answer is closed. Chief, do you have contact information where if anyone has any input?
I can send it to you.
Okay, great. And I'll be sending that out to the body so that if you have any other questions for the chief, if you have input that you would like to provide, we also have Chair De Leon, who's our chief relations between, and VP Beckerman, who are chief relations between the city and city government. So thank you very much for coming out, sir.
And I don't want to talk protocol, but I do want you guys to know that we want to have an open dialogue with you. Anytime you have any issues with regard to police department or enforcement efforts or anything like that, we'd be more than happy to come speak with you. We just want to have an open dialogue between the two organizations, and I'm sure I'll be back and picking your brains on other issues as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, with that, without any further ado, we will now move into a period of appointment swearing in and diversity and inclusion ad hoc committee. So if I call your name, please come down. For the chair for the diversity and inclusion ad hoc committee, I have chosen Senator Vincent Turner of the off-campus caucus. And the following 10 senators, they can come down as well and swear y'all in and get this meeting rolling. So Senators Beal, Lander, Wang, Lewis, Sonker, Habib, Abdullah, Powers, Dean, and Smith. I don't believe Smith is here. Everyone, please stand and swear the name.
Raise your right hand, please. I state your name.
I,
Do solemnly swear.
do solemnly swear
To faithfully execute to the best of your abilities.
to faithfully execute to the best of my abilities
The duties of the office of state your office.
the duties of the officer
For the Texas A&M University Student Government Association.
of the Texas A&M University Student Government Association
To uphold the honor of the same.
to uphold the honor of the same
At all times to protect the welfare of the student body.
at all times to protect the welfare of the student body
And to promote good relations between the students and those who are concerned with the university.
and to promote good relations between students and those concerned with the university.
Congratulations.
All right, and with that, we will move into a period of executive status confirmations, beginning, or considerations, pardon me, beginning with the position of chief of staff, and if the SVP or standing, please come forward, with this representation to 5 minutes. Sorry, Howdy, please stay in order.
Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
First of all, thank you all so much for being here tonight on a special session. I know that with it being not on a normal day, it probably took some rearrangement of your schedules. So hopefully we keep this short so you can go and do what you need to do and meet the Holiday Finals. With that being said, I'm really excited to bring up Emma Douglas as Chief of Staff. You'll have obviously seen Emma Douglas before, and I'm bringing her back up again for confirmation as Chief of Staff for a number of reasons. The first reason being, I believe that she's the absolute best person for the job. I think it would be a waste of my time if I wasn't putting up the best people for every single job for confirmation. I'd like to clarify what the position of Chief of Staff actually is. Chief of Staff is a holistically internal position. So this is the person that organizes when cabinet goes to the big event. This is the person that sends recap emails. This is the person that puts reminders in the room. This is the person who manages meeting agendas and does that kind of stuff. I trust Emma to do that. I trust Emma to make a meeting agenda. I trust Emma to send an email. I trust Emma to organize cabinet going to the big event. I trust Emma and I need Emma to be my chief of staff. So with that being said, I would love for y'all to hear from her about what she has to say. Howdy. Howdy. All right, again, my name is Emma Douglas, and I'd just like to begin by reiterating, I own up to the decisions I made as election commissioner, and I could have done a better job. But I am excited to be back up here again and to be able to serve again for SGA. So without further ado, I'd like to go over my vision and why I'm qualified for your chief of staff. So for my vision for chief of staff, again, this is taking very detailed notes at the meetings, making sure the meeting agendas are done on time. I really want to make sure that nobody has to worry about finding out where they need to be or what they need to bring or what time they need to be there. I want them to be able to be freed up so they can focus on what their job actually is. Additionally, I would like to upload these meeting agendas to a website to increase the transparency of the executive cabinet. This is available to the student body, to the branches, so people can understand what the executive cabinet is doing in our meetings and what initiatives that we're taking. Additionally, my main focus as chief of staff would really be personal development with these individuals. You can get into a leadership position and you're so focused on your to-do list and making sure that your initiatives get done, that by the end of the year you look back and you're like, I barely remember what I've learned or the lessons I've learned. So I really want to help people stop and realize, what am I learning right now? What skills am I developing? And be confident in those skills. Because it's a really powerful thing to know what you're good at and be able to communicate that to future employers, to future organizations, and so on. Some of the ways I would like to work through these personal developments with these people would be challenges such as Myers-Briggs, insights, strengths quest, reflections, those kind of tools that we can utilize so people better understand who they are and are therefore better able to lead others. And going into my qualifications for TAMU, again, I'm a CEO of a company called Ellison Online. We're an online and radio broadcasting firm mainly focused on federal credit unions and banks. And I work with a range of generations and a range of communications, and that's really what this job has really helped me develop is my communication skills, especially across a variety of mediums, specifically focused on electronic communication, which is something I think would be very vital for the chief of staff. Additionally, I was retail supervisor for Schlitterbahn Water Parks for 6 years, and this position really helped help my employees understand what motivates them, and therefore set a short-term and long-term goal list that is personally motivated and something they look forward to completing and accomplishing because it's motivated by something that they care about. And this is something I would like to implement with the cabinet as well.
You have 1 minute.
Thank you. I'm going to go to my academic involvement. Most important, most pertinent is my academic coordinator for Dr. Masoma's freshman business initiative. Personal development, we utilize all those tools I talked about. I'm extremely confident in my ability with those and my ability to help others know what they can do for them. And then that's why I think that vision for me is something I can absolutely do, is because I did it with a group of 400 students and with a group of 44 leaders as well. And so if you have any questions for me at all, please ask me during the question and answer session. I would love to answer these questions for you. And with that, I feel confident that I can make a positive change within the executive cabinet, and therefore I ask for your please and
Thank you, Ms. Douglas. With that, the floor is from Milton. We move into a period of question and answer, starting with Senator Powers.
Senator Powers, qualified position. Not being able to personally know you, I just wanted to get a sense of what is your personal motivation, or what are your personal motivations for being involved in SGA and specifically serving in the way of the position of chief of staff?
Absolutely. And personal motivation for being chief of staff would be probably threefold. I have a passion for Texas A&M. I have a passion for state government, and I have a passion for what the local It's a very unique position and allows me to focus on a small number of people doing a big number of things. And while they're moving and changing the university and making all these developments, I would like them to help them personally look at their lives and develop on a more personal level. And that's what the chief of staff should do. It's really a blessing to find a role that you're passionate about that enables you to serve something you care about. And that's what the role of chief of staff is.
Thank you. Now we'll move to Senator Lynn.
Senator Landers, Corporate Caucus. So we see behind you some of the things that make you qualified for the position. What would you say makes you the most qualified for the position?
I'm fairly certain I'm the only CEO that's applied. That's what I've been in plenty of positions. I have been blessed to be able to lead a large number of groups, from small groups to large groups, from corporate settings to academic settings, from the classroom to just regular Texas A&M University organizations. And I think looking at the other candidates, while they are very talented individuals, I think that's something that sets me apart in the number of organizations that I've led and the number of the groups that I've led and the different experiences I've had with that. And it's very applicable to what I think the Chief of Staff is supposed to do.
Thank you.
We'll now move to Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services Commission, preface. So kind of addressing the elephant in the room, you've mentioned the decisions you made that you stand by them. It's been mentioned in debate before. It's been mentioned numerous times. Would you like to walk through some of the newer senators, just very specifically what happened that you were talking about and that's being addressed, but not really set forth very clearly? Because I've heard that a lot of people feel very vague about what did transpire, and I think it'd be good to kind of just air it out.
Okay. And so it would take me probably an hour to go through all of the details regarding everything. It's quite a topic. It involves way more people than just me, and it's not possible for me to know every aspect of every part. We would have to get old senators in here. We would have to get Miss Amy in here. We would have to get Bill J. Court in here. We would have to get Bill Yell leaders in here. There are many different sides to what happened, and there are many different pieces to what happened. There are two main things that a lot of people like to talk about, and one of them is the Yell leader election. What happened there was a rule that was written by Senate that was incompatible with the IT system. It had been going on for years. It was enacted when I was in high school. There's no way I could have known, but I didn't know, and I should have. I guess I could have gone and gotten a degree in coding and then gone through the code myself. But I trusted the IT guy when he told me that the rules were compatible. And so that led to a series of events that led to the Yell leaders withdrawing. And they called me up and said, this is what we think we're going to do. And I said, I agree with you. That's a great option. And so that was completely amiable, even though some people like to say it wasn't. And then the other thing was, a lot of people like to talk about the Murtha versus Benigno and Douglas case. The only reason I was mentioning that case was because when you the only reason I was mentioning the Yell leader case was when you have to mention the election commissioner for the regulations to be in the case. So Murtha versus Benigno case was something that split everyone 50-50. Split the J Court 50-50, it split my commission 50-50. It was not something I personally voted on for the regulations. It had to be my commission. My commission voted that was a majority rule. It was a major violation, and so I had to go with it. And that's what we stood by. And again, the J Court split 50-50. It was a very contentious subject, but eventually the J Court did side in my favor. Does that cover all your questions?
As best as we can do, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
I think we have a motion for Senator Powers.
Senator Powers on the resolution, I have a motion to extend the period of question and answer by 2 minutes.
That motion is made, extend the period of question and answer. Second, seeing multiple members in the period of vote. All in favor of extending the period of question and answer by 2 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. That passes. You'll have 2 more minutes. All right, moving right along, we will now move to Senator Crowe.
Senator Crowe, I'll take this topic. Permission to preface?
Briefly.
So I need to preface, I would say that I, in my lifetime, have made many mistakes, and yet I stand here in this room with all of you. And that you would say the same, and you have the opportunity to serve Aiden here. My question is, going into the future, that's the most important thing. How do the values of Texas A&M impact you, and which ones would you most focus on as you impact the students of Texas A&M?
Thank you for your question. I'm just going to take care of it. I think the main two values that stick with me for Texas A&M are probably respect and selfless service. As we heard from Kenneth earlier, everyone deserves your respect. You have no idea what's going on in their lives outside of Texas A&M. You have no idea what's going on in their lives at Texas A&M. Everyone deserves your respect, and that's something, especially working with such a large number of people, you get to know that people's lives are difficult. You know,
So it's never a good judgment to be like, I know exactly what you're going through. I know exactly what you did, and I'm going to judge you for it. That's why respect is really hitting hard for that. Also, selfless service. Selfless service is key in anything you're doing. You never want to be that person that only thinks of yourself and is only looking to put yourself and promote yourself further. And how am I going to make sure that I will win this situation? I think selfless service is something that also begets respect and vice versa. So that's, I think those are the two main values.
With 1 minute remaining, we'll go to Senator Blair.
Senator Blair, Liberal Arts. I watched your resignation speech, and I don't know how many senators did, but I just want to ask you, if things get tough this year, how could you convince me that you're not just going to resign whenever if someone wants to impeach you?
Okay. Let's talk about when things get tough.
You have 30 seconds.
Can someone motion for me to have more time?
Yes, Senator Blair.
I motion extended period question and answer by 3 minutes.
By 3 minutes or multiple seconds? If there are multiple seconds, all in favor of extended period question and answer by 3 minutes?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so you have 3.5 minutes left.
All right, things get tough. That was a question. A lot of questions. Last year, the week of elections, my best friend in the world, who also goes to 6 a.m., finally told the police that she'd been molested for the past 4 years. It was information that I had known, and it was something that I had been pressing her to come forward with, and she finally did. Every night that week, I was on the phone with her until 2 a.m. in the morning to make sure she would sleep. Because that's not the demon I want her to face. That's not something people should face alone. I was with her every single night since 2 a.m., making sure she fell asleep, and yet I still ran those elections. I did not quit at that point. Again, later that semester, I was raped violently, and I did not quit. I stayed in my position. I quit. I resigned because of the dialogue that was going on with Texas A&M students and the destructive ability that it had. No matter what was going on in my life, whether it was my friend going to the police and screaming at me through the phone until 4 a.m. in the morning, or however long it took to make sure she went to sleep, I did not quit. Whether it was dealing with the police with my own case, whether it was wondering, am I going to live through this day, I did not quit. I quit because of what was happening in SGA, not because of what was going on in my life. Say next to the question.
Yep.
We now move to Senator White.
Senator White on campus, Commissioner Purpose.
You have 2 minutes to review.
This process obviously has not been easy on you, being up again and then being denied last session. So I can imagine that it's been a really arduous journey. So what gives you the courage to come back?
I would say the bigger picture. I understand what matters. I really don't give a damn what's on my resume. I care about people. I care about what I can do in the position and how I can make a difference there. And that's what I know I can do as chief of staff, is I can make a difference here.
We'll now go to Senator Powers. Withdrawn. Senator Abdullah.
Withdrawn.
Withdrawn. Chair Riojas.
Withdrawn.
Withdrawn. Senator Habib.
Senator Habib, College of Biz. I just wanted to tell you how incredibly amazed I am by your courage to come back here, obviously kind of a hostile environment, and to show what you just did. To tell you that I think I'll have to answer this question. Do you think that everyone in life makes mistakes, and everyone in life deserves second, third, fourth, fifth chances?
30 seconds remaining. We'll go with Senator Rodriguez. Senator Rodriguez, you still have a question?
I didn't.
Careful when you're holding those placards around. With that, seeing no other questions, period of question answered is now closed. Thank you very much. All right. We'll now move into a period of debate, starting with debate against the candidate. Yet, debate is 2.5 minutes. Is there any debate against the candidate? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. We'll now go into a period of voting. All in favor of confirming Amy Douglas as the next chief of staff at Texas A&M Student Government Association, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. That passes unanimously.
I state your name.
I, Emma Douglas,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to faithfully execute to the best of your abilities
to faithfully execute to the best of my abilities
the duties of the office of, state your office,
the duties of the office of Chief of Staff
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association.
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
So uphold the honor of the same,
to uphold the honor of the same,
at all times to protect the welfare of the student body,
at all times to protect the welfare of the student body,
and to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university.
and to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university.
Congratulations.
All right, we will now move, yes. Chair Pro Tem Finney.
Pro Tem Finney, I motion to deviate the agenda to consider the election commissioner position.
The motion has been made to deviate from the agenda to consider the election commissioner position first. Are there any seconds? All right, seeing multiple seconds, we now move into a period of voting. I'm assuming this is due to a time constraint for that individual. All in favor of deviating from the agenda to consider the election commissioner first, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. All right, that passes. Please bring forward. So you'll have 5 minutes, starting with Abby, SVP Waterloo, and Ms. Keegan.
Howdy today. I'm Rachel Keithley, and she's up for the position of election commissioner, and she is incredible. From the moment that she interviewed and I got to sit down and talk with her, I was so incredibly impressed. Election commissioner is something that doesn't just require someone who's incredibly organized, it also requires someone who is able to take whatever election season throws at them, and I truly believe that Rachel's the girl for the job. So with that being said, here is Rachel. Howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Rachel Keithley, and I'm a sophomore business honors and management major from Austin, Texas, and I'm up for the position of election commissioner. Since I don't know any of you guys, I want to start with a few fun things about me. I played on an intramural basketball team, and although it says we made semifinals, we're actually quite terrible, and we got mercy ruled nearly every single game of the season. Luckily, some people forfeited their games, and so we made it to semis. I participated in 4 A&M study abroad trips, and so I've gone to visit 5 countries, and that's a picture, a really small picture of me on an elephant in South Africa. And the third thing is that I love club sandwiches, and if you don't know what a club sandwich is, I would love to get to talking about that because they're fantastic. I want to start, if you read my application, you know that my 3 personal values are faith, courage, and honesty. And I want to use these values in the position of election commissioner and kind of explain to you my vision for that and how those values fit into it. As election commissioner, I will serve as the chief director of campus-wide elections. This means that it is my job to ensure fair, equitable, and transparent elections for the entire student body. The first key to this is going to be communication. With over 26 pages of election regulations, it can be kind of scary to expect the election commissioner and all the candidates to follow those rules exactly. So communication is going to be key, making sure that everyone knows what needs to be done, what is expected of them, and when that's going to happen. Second, I want to increase student voting. In this re-election, we only had 15,025 students vote. And of course, I know that all of you want to have the most people involved in this. So I hope to increase student voting, increase awareness, and when we vote is happening, make sure that most people are invested in student government. Second, part of increasing student voting, part of that is putting on the SVP debate. And I want to ensure that we have both an informative and comparative debate so that people can make sure they know as much about the candidates as possible. And third, I want to maintain transparency in the election process that Cali has put forth this year. This is going to ensure that all of the violations, whether or not something is, all the reports, whether or not a violation is assessed, is going to be accessible to the entire student body. This is important to my value of honesty, to make sure that I'm accessible and that everything that happens behind the veil of the election commission is accessible to the entire student body.
Second, it's going to be my job to follow, interpret, and update the election regulations. I believe that my organization skills have equipped me really well for this position, and I love nothing more than to follow rules. Second, I'm extremely analytical, and I look forward to drawing upon my own experiences in order to interpret the election regulations. I want to make it clear that I'm not here for my own gain. It is my job to interpret the election regulations the way that they were intended when they were written, and that the entire student body and the general public would interpret them as. This is not always easy, and this is part of my value of courage, in that it's easy to sometimes look at the context or think, oh, they may have meant this, they may have meant that. But ignorance is not a defense in campaigning or in an election, and it's my job to hold everyone accountable equally. Part of holding people accountable is making sure that I'm held accountable and that I make sure that I communicate and treat all candidates equally. Basically, I want to make sure candidates are informed and get to work with you guys on updating the election regulations to find the best version possible for the student body, because we're not the only university that holds such a large election. I know that there's someone out there that we can learn from in order to do it the best way possible. My experience. I am an intern in the Office of Congressman Bill Flores, and I serve as a camp counselor at Legal Educator. While these two positions cannot have differed any more from what I wore to what I did, they taught me one thing, and that no matter what you do, people are going to find criticism in what your actions are, and people are always going to find something wrong with that. I'm not afraid of this, and through these I've developed a unique set of skills in order to combat this and make sure that I'm communicating effectively what I'm trying to do. As for SG involvement, I serve as a JAG, which is a judicial advocate. And that means in preparation for the election season that I was reviewing and making sure that I knew the election regulations backwards and forwards. And so I think this has uniquely prepared me for the job of election commissioner, because I will continue to use these in this new position. As for other campus involvement, the thing I've learned the most is that communication is key. And that no matter what's happening, communicating with your team members, communicating with the university, and making sure that everything is understood effectively is the best way to go forward with this. And that's it.
All right. With that, she yields her way over time to question and answer, and we have several questions lined up, beginning with Chair Rivas. Chair Rivas, you have 5 minutes during this period.
Chair Rivas, so my question is, I guess, in regards to, I know we've had hands-off commissioners, we've had hands-on commissioners. Can you maybe elaborate on which you are, I guess, how you do it, and why you feel you should be that way?
You mean hands-on, like?
As far as hands-on or hands-off, what do you feel you do that?
Yes, I would say that I'm pretty hands-on. I'm very analytical. I want to make sure that everything overall is working together, making sure that everyone is following the rules. And so I don't want to take a laid-back approach. I want to make sure that what needs to happen is going to be communicated by me, that any of the major tasks, that I'm going to make sure that those are being handled effectively and following the rules. I don't want to take a step back, because I'm the one whose name's on everything. I'm the one who's going to be held accountable for any actions of the election commission. So hands-on, for sure.
We'll now move to Senator Landers.
Senator Lander, for the caucus. I just wondered if you had a number, what number would be a successful voter turnout?
So interesting about voting, and I think if you take a qualified class, you know that it kind of depends on the regional trends. And so Texas is a very traditionalist state in that not a lot of people care about voting, because they're like, oh, you grew up in a red state, your vote doesn't matter. So getting students to vote is one of the biggest things for me. I think that requires a lot of motivation. I'd say a good number, if you could hit 50%, I'd say that'd be good.
Yeah, thank you. Now we'll go to Senator Krogh.
Senator Krogh, on campus caucus. You mentioned using the SCP debate to focus on increasing voter turnout. Are there any additional methods that you're looking for?
I think one of the things about voting is a lot of people just forget. And so part of that is you have to communicate when it's happening. And something, I thought about, just having more polling locations possibly, say, hey, walk into the library, you can vote right now over here at this set of computers. So something like that. That's something I see what the student bodies are open to, what through all the rules.
I'm actually going to recognize myself, Speaker Hood. Oftentimes during election season, the commissioner will notice problems that occur in the election regulations, things that don't quite add up in the repeat of the election. How would you, as election commissioner, handle those?
I think any problems are going to show up. I think definitely through practice you're going to realize that. And so rules, when it's happening, I'm going to follow the rules. If they're wrong, I still need to follow them. It's going to be what is following the rules right now, because that's something that can be fixed later on through updating the election regulations. And so I think as we do it, we'll find, oh, this isn't clear. This is something that people often misinterpret. And so by making those clear in the mandatory candidates meeting, we're making sure we're following the current rules that are in place and then updating them in what we can.
Thank you very much. Now we go to Chair Turpin.
Chair Turpin, Commissioner Craig.
briefly, we have two.
So I'm sure you understand that election commissioner is a really big job, and I also understand that a year from now, you're not really sure what your schedule is going to look like, but do you think you can give us an estimate of how many hours per week you're going to be able to dedicate to this job during election season?
So I do work, and I'm going to be an officer in another organization, but I'm not taking a lot of hours. I'm committed to this position, and I'm willing to dedicate the amount of hours that are necessary to make sure that the elections are run well and make sure they're run to the best of my ability. And so I'd say, I think in the past it's been about 25 hours maximum, 10 hours minimum, but whatever is necessary. I just won't sleep.
Thank you.
All right, Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services. I noticed you weren't actually applying for this job, so could you explain how you got it and maybe how you feel about it, since it wasn't your top choice, I assume?
Yeah, so I didn't apply for this job, but Hannah asked me to step into this position, and when I started to look at it, it was kind of those things you're like, oh, that's kind of scary. But once I looked at the position, I knew that this fit my personality extremely well. I know I'm very hardworking, I'm organized meticulously, and so following the rules is always been something that I would love to do. And looking at the position more, I would love nothing more to make sure that the elections are fair and make sure that the student leaders that we're electing are going to be the best people who follow the rules exactly and ethically, and that they're held accountable. And so I just want to ensure this university has the best leaders possible, and that's can only be possible through a fair elections process.
Thank you. With the minute remaining, we'll go to Senator Hernandez.
Hernandez, on-campus audience. Just following up what the speaker Cliff said, besides the interpretation of the rules, how will you handle a difficult situation that comes up during election season?
Yeah, any difficult situation is going to depend on what happens. I've faced flood situations before, and I'm extremely level-headed. I love working under pressure. And so any situation that comes up, I'm going to make sure that I refer to the rules, make sure that those are being followed exactly. I'm going to go to my own judgment and see, what is the best situation for this, what is going to follow these rules, and make sure that we're acting in the best interest of the student body. Anything like that, yeah.
Senator Rodriguez, Liberal Arts, I advise to make a motion.
Yes.
To extend the period of question and answer by 3 minutes.
Motion is made. There is a second. All in favor of extending the period of question and answer by 3 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. All right. That passes. 3 more minutes. And now we will go to Senator Rodriguez.
So I know there was an issue with Senator Rodriguez, Liberal Arts. So I know there was an issue with the election a couple of years back with Emma. I just was wondering, do you know if that technical error has been fixed as far as she said that there was an issue with the voting process? Do you know if that issue has been fixed?
I believe us.
Okay, thank you.
We will now move to Chair Turco.
Withdraw.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Yes, Senator Baumann.
Senator Baumann, off campus. So I see the probation preface.
Yes.
Thank you. So I noticed that you were a JAG, and that's your SGA involvement. Can you also kind of describe any past experience you have with how the election commission goes through, not just the code and not just understanding what the rules are, but how election commission goes through? And if you don't have any experience with understanding the motions of election commission, how you plan to learn from perhaps someone who had experience with that, or just kind of adapt to election commission and that entire entity itself.
Right. So besides serving as JAG, that is the only involvement I've had with the Student Government Association. I was never I didn't, read the code for fun as a freshman, not in SGA. However, I have made a big effort. I've read the code, I have read the election regulations, and I've met with Callie and made sure that continuing what she's done, because she did such a great job this year, and making sure that following her guidance and to do the best thing possible. And so I make sure I'm up to date on the election regulations and using my experiences.
Good point. Thank you. We will now move to Chair Rosine.
Chair Rosine, Rules and Regulations. So, permission to briefly preface.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. With this last year, there being no issues. One thing that I would attribute to that is how this past year's election commissioner has gone through and really kind of rewritten the code, but just how well she knew it. How long or what preparations do you see yourself taking to be at the same level?
Right. So I've read through them a lot already. I know them pretty well. And so going forward, I'm going to make sure I go through them again, and I'm going to analyze every single line and make sure this is what I need to do. This means this date. This means that date. And so by going through them and not only finding the flaws that may still be there, but going through the updated things that Callie has done and making sure that I'm following those rules and just going through them and knowing every single part of it by heart.
If I may add something as well, Callie had no prior SGA experience.
And Callie did an incredible job, so she actually.
Yes, Chair Riojas. You have a motion?
Chair OSCA, we extend the period of question and answer like 2 minutes.
There's a motion to extend period of questions by 2 minutes, multiple seconds. All in favor of extending period of questions by 2 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
That fails. Division. All right, division is a call. All in favor of extending period of question and answer. Guys, please say aye and nay, please vote. Please stand. By 2 minutes. All right, all opposed? Aggie math is not my strong point. And that barely passes. So you got 2 extra minutes.
So again, Chair OSCA, my question is, I guess, in regard to Mission Callie. How's your relationship with previous election commissions?
Well, I didn't know her prior to his nomination. I have met with her. We had a long conversation about everything that she did, everything that worked well and what didn't work well. And so I'm going to take a lot of her advice. Any questions I have, she's open up to me to contact her whenever necessary. I will not be afraid to call her if I have any questions.
You have a motion, Senator B?
Senator B, called. I motion to shorten question answers time by 2 minutes.
A motion has been made to answer time about 2 minutes, which would put us right at. There's a second. All in favor of shortening question and answer time by 2 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Hey guys, I wouldn't. That's still short. All right. You still have 2 minutes, and I believe were you still asking your last question?
I think she answered it.
Now, Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services. In tradition of the questions that we ask somebody who's about to be confirmed for interpreting code, what is your judicial philosophy?
I would say that I am moderate constructionist. I would not say I'm in the middle. I would say I'm more on the conservative side. However, I saw the debate last week. I don't believe that anyone can be. I've read the election regulations. They are not black and white. There's a lot of things that are left up to the interpretation of the election commissioner, and so I think that by definition would be moderate on being contextualist.
Do you have a question, sir?
Yes.
All right.
Senator B, we have a lot of excess time on that, so this election season is very exciting on the national level. Looks like coming down to a Donald Trump Hillary Clinton showdown. Who do you vote for that means?
I'm going to call that Hillary. You know what you're doing. That question and answer slows. And we will move into a period of debate. Please don't make this a Trump debate. So we'll start with debate against the candidate. Is there any debate against? 2.5 minutes. Seeing none, debate is one-sided. All in favor of confirming Ms. Keithley as the next election commissioner, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. That passes unanimously.
I state your name.
I, Rachel Keatley,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to faithfully execute to the best of your abilities
to faithfully execute to the best of my abilities
the duties of the office of State Your Office
the duties of the office of Election Commissioner
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
for the Texas A&M Student Government Association,
to uphold the honor of the same,
to uphold the honor of the same,
at all times to protect the welfare of the student body,
at all times to protect the welfare of the student body,
and to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university.
and to promote good relations with students and those concerned with the university.
Congratulations.
We're now moving to peer consideration for the position of operations EVP. The candidate, I guess, please come forward. Nominee, please come forward. You have 5 minutes, starting in heaven.
Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
This is Grace Dancy. She's up for confirmation for the position of Ops EVP. I would just like to quickly explain to y'all what Ops EVP is because it doesn't exist on cabinet this year. So Operations EVP exists to be a committee liaison for the executive cabinet. So obviously the committees are part of the executive branch. And I think that it would be incredibly helpful to have this person here to make sure that our committees are up to date and we work really well within our committees. So she's going to explain a little bit more about that. So here is Grace.
Howdy, Senate. Like I said, my name is Grace Danby, and I am up for the confirmation of Ops EVP. And so I'm from Denton, Texas. I'm a sophomore chemical engineering major with a business minor. A little fun fact, that dog in that picture is my puppy. He looks like a mini Rev. I wanted to come to A&M since I was in kindergarten and begged my parents to get a dog that looked like Rev. And so thought that it would be suited to put him up there. So first I want to talk about my vision and values. And so I think two values that I have that specifically relate to this position are diligence and unity. And why I think these, I want to explain why I think these two values are applicable to this position. In the past, this year we haven't had an Ops EVP, and years prior, I don't think this position has been utilized to its full potential. And so I think it's going to take someone who is diligent and dedicated to successfully complete or accomplish the goals of what this position stands for. The second value I want to talk about is unity. Something that I strive for with my experience on the executive cabinet this past year is focusing on unity of SGA as a whole. I want us to focus on the fact that we are all serving the same purpose. Whether you are in the Senate, whether you're in a committee, whether you're on the judicial branch, whether you're on the executive branch.
I have a motion. I have call for quorum.
Quorum has been called for. You called for quorum. So you made. We got. If everyone could just please stay seated. If everyone could get anyone who's outside of the room, get them back in here, please. Your time's up. Just for information, for those of you who may not understand, a quorum call means that someone is basically, we cannot go through business. We got quorum within the room. Quorum for this body, because we have 77 members, means that we must have 39 members present at all times in the room. So it's called quorum, so we make sure we count. We have 40 in here. Please, guys, no one leave the room. We will continue.
Like I stated, so I believe in making SGA cohesive. That is something that I want to continue to strive towards if I get confirmed the position of Ops EVP. And so with my vision, there's 3 parts that come to the position of Ops EVP. And the first one I talk about is a committee liaison, which I believe has been the most underutilized. And so part of the requirement is to schedule monthly meetings and hold a roundtable with all of the committee chairs. But outside of that, I want to develop relationships with them by talking and conversing with them about what they are in need of throughout the whole entire year, not just those scheduled meetings. The way to be best effective and communicative with them is to have personal relationships with them. I want to be an advocate and a resource and not someone who is simply trying to do their jobs for them or tell them how to do them, because they know their committee's best how they best function. And then the second point I want to talk about is the manager of the commission. This past year I served as development commissioner, and so I have experience in what that position looks like. But I also be meeting with diversity, development, and election commissioners, and I want to be able to provide the experience and resources that I have had throughout this past year, and watching what the previous commissioners have done, as well as myself have done, and be able to assist them and provide resources. But the main thing that I want to focus on with both of these as a committee liaison and manager of the commissions is that I'm their advocate, their resource. I do not do their job for them. I will hold them accountable, but it is not my job to micromanage them, and that is not something that I want to do at all. I'm there to enhance and accomplish their goals. But the last thing I want to talk about is promotional materials. Last year, promotional materials fell under the role of development commissioner, and so I have already been in working contact with the person that SGA uses for promotional materials. So I also want to talk about my experience that relates to this position. This past year, I served in the executive cabinet, and then have served on the development commission the past 2 years. Last year, I was development commissioner, and the year before that, on the development commission as a general member. So I've been in and out of SGA and also served on different organizations within SGA. The other relevant experience that I have, just specifically managing large or small groups of people, I've served as the silent auction chair for the past 2 years for Tri-Delta, and through that have been able to manage a different type of team, and believe I'm equipped to manage all sorts of types of people. So with that, I am open to questions.
Period question and answer is now open. Are there any questions for the nominee? All right, seeing none, we'll close period question and answer. We'll go to period of debate. Oh. All right, John, let's get. Yeah, you're good. Move into a period of debate. Is there any debate against? Sorry, is there any debate against the candidate? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. We'll now move into a period of voting. All in favor of confirming Grace Danby as the operations EVP of the Texas A&M Student Government Association, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? That passes. That passes. Confirmed.
I say that
I, Grace Danby,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to faithfully execute to the best of your abilities
to faithfully execute to the best of my abilities
the duties of the office of state your office
the duties of the Office of Operations EVP
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
to uphold the honor of the same,
to uphold the honor of the same
at all times to protect the welfare of the student body,
at all times to protect the welfare of the student body,
and to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university.
and to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university.
Congratulations.
Now we will move into the long-awaited consideration of the position of diversity commissioner. We have 5 minutes right now.
Hi, Sam.
Howdy.
Most of y'all know Jonah. Jonah's incredible. That speaks for itself. Something that I think is really important that I just want to highlight. We've seen in the past with diversity commissioner, every year someone new comes in and we kind of reinvent the wheel. And it starts from floor one. And I don't think we have the ability to do that, and I don't think we should do that anymore. I think what's incredible about Jonah is he brings knowledge not just from this year, but his 3 years at Texas A&M to continue the great work that Landon once has done and make it even better if that's possible. So here's John.
Well, I said it. It's good to see everybody. It's very strange not to be said in this school. My name is Jonah Chen. I'm a senior political science major from McKinney, Texas. Most importantly, I'm the loudest revised member of the Texas Act class of 2017. Hey! And I'm the incoming Bush School student. I'll graduate in May. I'll be working towards my PhD degree. Thank you. And above all, here's a story for you guys. So a couple years ago, I went to Blinn College. I'm actually a transfer student. And I didn't know where I wanted to go to college because I'm the first generation student. And my friend took me on a tour of campus and let me see the academic building, Howe Field, and the MSC, just in the limelight of the street lights, and let me know that this is somewhere she calls home. And as I walked around campus, I realized that this is exactly where I wanted. So within a year, I transferred to Texas A&M University, and I made sure to leave a legacy, like many people have told me to try to do. And I want to talk to you guys about my virtues and what's happened since then. And above all, I believe in 3 core values that they stand in points on this. I believe in leadership. I believe in respect. I believe in self-service. I've led many organizations on campus in my 3 years here, and with every single position that I've held, I've made sure to cultivate a culture of respect and a culture of selfless service. And in my vision for the Diversity Commission, I want to build on the foundation that Landon has left for us. It's been a very long and arduous journey to make sure that this topic is a common topic for the administration, for the students, for organizations. I am very proud to say that I've been working quite closely with the Diversity Commissioner and everybody else associated with the commission through my time as a senator, through being a finance member, paying attention to finances and helping them when they can, and also with my experience with ad hoc. My vision is to develop and implement programs for awareness and inclusion. I want people to be aware of things that might be a little difficult to talk about, difficult dialogues. I want to make sure that people understand that there can be instances where your minds can be changed. That's why I want educational modules for diversity and inclusion to try out in SGA. I want to designate liaisons to different niches of student life to make sure that they all feel like they're included in the conversation. We have heard that many times today. We want to be a part of the conversation. I want to be the facilitator. And of course, I want to continue fostering different positive relationships with different student leaders and administration. My experience speaks for itself when it comes to SGA. I've served in this body before, and I made sure to be rather vocal on some of these issues. There were several bills about diversity and inclusion, and making sure that people understand our institution as best they can. But in addition to that, I was the Multicultural Greek Council's chair of the Judicial Board as the Vice President of Standards. I dealt with any issues that might arise in that particular community and in the Greek community itself. But with my other position as President of Beta Omega for 2015 to 2016, I made sure to preside over a respectful Greek institution that has been on this campus for 20 years, that's named as the most diverse organization in the Multicultural Greek Council. I'm proud of all of that. I'm proud to stand before you as, I believe, the best candidate for diversity commissioner. This passionate topic is something I care about immensely. I want to make sure that in every conversation, in every instance, whenever somebody says that I don't feel like I'm a part of the Aggie family, I want to be the person to do it. I want that person to understand that as Aggies, we stand for each other, and I'm here to stand for you.
Now move to a period of question and answer, starting with Senator Bowman.
Senator Bowman, off-campus permission to preface. Thank you. So I previously have a little bit of experience with the International Student Association, and that has a wide range of cultures involved with it, especially a very large concentration of Indian and Chinese students. So that being considered, as you're moving forward as Diversity Commission, do you have any possible goals? As you said, this position often reinvents the wheel. Would you be open to considering trying to reach out to the International Student Association and international students as a part of your job as Diversity Commission?
Yes, of course. And the reason I can do so is because I've worked within the Asian President's Council, something I didn't include. The Asian President's Council directly works with the international students, those who are of Indian, Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese descent, and I have those inlets in that community to make sure the community. I've already had a well-established relationship with them. I'm excited to bring them into the fold because that is actually something that was a gray area for the Diversity Commission this year. We wanted to make sure that a common undergraduate student is included in the discussion. Sometimes it's a little difficult to reach even further into the campus to make sure that the international students are included. I am more than happy to have that in my commission.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, we'll now move to Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services, first off, nice watch. Also,
thank you.
So as a past senator yourself, do you have any actionable pieces of legislation you'd like to see go through this body to aid you in your goals in diversity commission?
So with the consideration of one thing that actually wrote and passed in the past session was the Senate Information Lab. Make sure that individuals know about this institution. Many students feel like they are represented on the campus. Therefore, with the passage of that particular bill, we have an outlet of information information for them to access in case they want to run. I want to make sure that that outlet is presented with all of our grants. If anybody wants to be part of the assistance, if anybody wants to be part of the executive cabinet, I want to make sure there's an information for all of them. Those would be pieces of legislation that I would want to write to make sure that everybody has access to these particular institutions.
We'll now move to Senator Rodriguez.
Senator Rodriguez, Local Lords. I think diversity and inclusion have become buzzwords. Can you give me your definition of diversity and inclusion?
To me, diversity and inclusion is not the differences that we have between ourselves, but the things that make us unique. Therefore, your identity in itself is unique. Diversity is your identity. Inclusion is the act of making sure that every individual on this campus feels as if they are part of a greater body. That is what I believe diversity and inclusion means.
We're going to start.
Senator Crouch, off-campus topics, Commissioner Hopkins.
Brigham.
As the vice president of an organization that includes many graduate level students who are international as well, I have a personal interest in investment in their success and their experience here. How do you specifically plan to address the graduate level international community?
And so luckily, I am an income negotiator, so I'll be one of those graduate students, and I'll be able to work alongside them in the classroom. To be able to do so on a personal level, I want to make sure that I establish relationships with the key student leaders and the key student organizations. In addition to that, I want to make sure that the modules that I talked about are available for their access. The thing is, with culture through race or ethnicity from other countries is difficult to address because of the differences that they have innately. I want to make sure that they have access to all of these resources by making sure that they have lines of communication. Therefore, if they are able to have the relationship with the commission like I want to, then they should be able to develop a very formulated and formalized relationship with the institutions.
With 1 minute remaining, we have Senator Hernandez.
Senator Hernandez, on-campus caucus. It's clear that this is a new value that you centered your commission around. How do you plan on transmitting that energy for respect and inclusion to the student population? Clarify on the thing that you talked about.
Definitely. And so, in some instances, I've heard from several student leaders that they sometimes feel that respect is not necessarily a part of someone's interactions on this campus. And in order to foster the core value of respect, I wanted to make sure that every individual who joins this commission has that in mind. Every interaction you have has respect in mind. Every single outlet of communication has that intent in mind. In order to dilute it to the rest of the student population, we must set an example. With the example of
Chair CA, I motion to extend question and answer time by 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Motion made to extend Q&A by 3 minutes and motion seconds. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. All right, that passes 3 minutes.
By setting an example, the commission itself should stand as the institution to set that example because of its normal nature. I want to make sure that everything that we do, if I were to speak from birth, has that essence of respect, and hopefully, with everybody working with me, they'll gain that respect as well.
We will now go to Chair Rielas.
Chair CA. So we just had the diversity, ad hoc committee put into order. In your mind, as diversity commission, what do you feel your duty is to work with them? How do you think that would work?
So in my eyes, because there is another institution that is our counterpart with a consent in effect, I believe that they should work together in accomplishing the mission specifically for the institution. So specifically, Senate legislates research, advocates legislates, and the executive cabinet implements, executes. Therefore, I would expect that kind of relationship between the two bodies, the two organizations. I would want to see a close-knit family, value family, come together and make sure that that coordination between my on campus be proactive and researching other universities' problems, such as Mizzou or any other institution that has this issue before, and come up with things that we can do so that this campus can feel inclusive as well as make the relationship. Thank you.
We'll now move to Senator Ronnie.
Senator Chauncey, off campus. I'm Richard Harris.
Yes.
And so during my time here, I've had the opportunity to interact and really get to meet a lot of international students, and they expressed to me that some of them don't really know a lot about American culture and don't really understand active sessions. A lot of programs we have are there to assist them, and they're not really aware of those things. And people like to send out type meals, but those really don't get read. And do you have any ways if you would like to, anything you want to implement in order to make sure they're aware of these resources?
So I briefly mentioned in my presentation, liaisons. Liaisons would be the optimal source of information for them. I want to make sure that there is a organized line of dialogue between certain organizations and between the commission and the ISA, staff support organization, would have the supplementation of resources to be word of mouth, not through electronic email. I want to make sure there's a personal relationship with those liaisons, with scheduled meetings to make sure that they know of the resources coming up whenever there's a seminar, whenever there's an event, whenever there's any sort of small group discussion of culture that they're able to have the opportunity to do that.
All right, with 20 seconds remaining, we'll go to Senator Nelson.
Senator Nelson Coles, my roommate is actually from China, and one of his big complaints when he came here is before he got here, he didn't know what to do. So what are you going to do for incoming students?
Senator Abdul, do you have a motion?
Senator Abdul on campus, can I motion to extend the period of question after July 2?
Is there a second? You'll please give your hearing voting. Excuse me. All in favor of receiving question and answer by 2 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes.
Permission to
Go.
so like I was saying, my roommate, he's actually from China. He's been here for, I think, 3 years now. His biggest complaint, and we always talk about it, is before he came to college, he didn't know any opportunities that England had. He always saw England as a predominantly white male institution. So what are you going to do for incoming students that have no idea about anything for Texas A&M to make them feel more inclusive?
I'm very thankful that you asked that question. The reason being is because we have tried in all of our efforts to make sure that there is a presence at NSCs. So international students still have to go to their NSCs in order to be immersed in culture, and also to there's a relationship portion of their except the same now. And to make sure that they understand their resources, understand what to do, I would want to make sure that the diversity commission is present at all the NSCs. That was something that was asked of by our SVP, and I wholeheartedly agree with it. I want to make sure that on the first basis they see our individuals that can very much get from the resources. So our presence, our formalized presence at NSC would be one outlet. The second one would be the open door policy and the approachment policy that we have. So we would make sure that our liaisons will be able to communicate with such populations. And the thing is, with the communication lines, people always are a little bit confused on the formalized ones and the informalized ones. When the international students come in, they have access to those particular listservs, and by that, we have access to their names. Therefore, we would seek out the student leaders who join the organizations and want to be a part of, to understand Texas A&M, and of course, to give emotional support.
I do have a motion. A motion to accept.
Please state your name and comments.
Alright, Greg, Hawkins, Scotty. I motion to extend the period of question by 2 minutes.
Motion is made. There are multiple seconds. All in favor of extending the period of questions by 2 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nice, chair, that passes.
It's to make sure that the liaisons access those communities and make sure, of course, that they have personal relationships with those communities. That is what I would expect my commission to do. Make sure that everybody feels inclusive. Thank you.
We'll now move to Chair Page. Chair Page.
Oh, Chair Page, Student Services. Just briefly revisiting my previous question, you mentioned some legislation that has already been written in the past. Do you have any new legislative goals that are very specific to the body?
Yes, the ones that would be derivatives of that particular legislation. So as a Student Senate Informational Act, I would want something like the Executive Cabinet Informational Act or the Justice's Information Act, something in that vein, to make sure that all students, not those of diverse nations, all students have access to understanding our institution and be able to understand how it would to apply or to run for those positions.
Now move to Senator Crowe with 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Senator Greg, off-campus topics. Following up on a previous senator's question
a plan for input freshmen when you're talking about communication and outreach, especially when it comes to diversity on campus and to conferences or at the camp?
Yes, so we already have some plans in motion. Whatever the diversity commission hopefully will be. They would be present at the NSC, they would be present at open house, they would be present during Gig Week as a resource for all students who would like to attend. Of course, we're not forcing students to attend any sort of seminar or event, but we would be the available resource for incoming students for transition for international.
Senator Rodriguez.
Senator Rodriguez,
30 seconds.
Liberal Arts. I just had a question, two questions actually. What committee were you on last year?
Yeah, so I was in the finance committee under the curricular chair. It's pretty cool. And I was also under the ad hoc campus planning and inclusion committee that was chaired by a senator named Corey Clark. And between those two committees, we made sure that in every instance that all of the issues of diversity and inclusion in the Aggie family and migrants and ignorance that's taken care of.
Thank you. All right, with that, the period of question and answer is closed. And we'll move into a period of debate. Reminder to the bottom. Debate starts the debate against in 2.5 minutes. Is there any debate against this particular candidate, Jim Chin, for diversity commissioner? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. Moving to a vote. All in favor of confirming Jonah Chin as the next diversity commissioner of the Texas A&M Student Government Association, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. That passes unanimously.
I state your name.
I, Jonah Chen,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to faithfully execute to the best of your abilities.
to
To faithfully execute to the best of your abilities.
to faithfully execute to the best of my abilities
The duties of the office of Station Office
the duties of the Office of Diversity Commission
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association.
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association
To uphold the honor of the same.
to uphold the honor of the same
At all times to protect the welfare of the student body.
at all times protect the welfare of the student body
And to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university.
and to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university.
Congratulations.
All right, we'll now move into a period of consideration for the Vice President of Student Services. I believe Sam Alders, being presented by SVP Burnley. You have 5 minutes to read out.
Senate. This is Sam Alders, and anyone who has met Sam is automatically blown away by his passion to serve Texas A&M and his passion for Texas A&M, and I'm so excited for y'all to see that tonight. Something that I think is really important is that with student services, a lot of times we end up seeing things throughout the year that we had no idea were going to come up. Things that we collect with I Love Texas A&M, but different students reaching out to us about transportation and parking. And I think Sam is incredibly well equipped to be able to handle whatever is thrown at him. So that being said, here's Sam.
Howdy, Senate. Howdy. My name is Sam Alders. I'm a sophomore business management major from Nacogdoches, Texas. But more importantly, I'm a loud and proud member of the Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2018. Hey! A couple quick things about me before I stand before you as the nominee for the Vice President of Student Services position. I'm one of 10 kids born to 2 Aggies, classes 84 and 85. My grandfather came to Texas A&M class of 58 and served in the Vietnam War before then. I'm the third of my generation of third-generation Aggies to come to Texas A&M, and actually my older brother, class of 2013, served in the 65th legislation session of this student body. A couple things about the position of VP of Student Services. My principal goal is to be a liaison between executive cabinet and Senate. My job is to advocate legislation between y'all and the administrators in charge of putting those services in practice. A lot of that would include working together with Chair Page and the other chairs in here and really all of y'all to make sure that we advocate and get the proper legislation to make sure that individual students are represented to the best of our ability. Now, that adds an element of chance to my position that makes it seem like there aren't individual goals. That's not the case. There are always going to be student services issues on campus. The goal of the position is to make sure that students are served well, and they're well equipped to do the best at Texas A&M. The student services of dining, transportation, student health services, and athletics, some issues that we've seen arise in recent times. Dining, we had Pyre Square closed down just the other day. The bat mentioned it, and it shows us that there's a need for accessible dining options around campus for students to make sure that in their busy schedules they're readily able to go get food and get to the rest of their day. Transportation, A&M students, A&M's continuing to swell at a rapid amount. Something that we have to make sure that our students have accessible to them are bus systems that can get them where they need to be in a timely, efficient manner, and also parking that's accessible and available. Student health services, we had Kane Hall. Kane Hall got torn down and replaced the hotel that's being put in. Something that we need to take care of is understanding that as it's moved to West Campus, we need to be able to accommodate the students that require that require student health and student counseling services that are way out there, that would make sure that they're accessible to other students. Athletics, one more thing that we have to deal with. I don't know if any of y'all pulled tickets in the room, but for me and for other students at A&M, there's not a lot of rules online. Something that I would like to see get done if you're working with y'all would be maybe just getting clear directions out so that people who haven't ever done it before have a better understanding about ticket forwards and other athletics services. And then a positive promotion. Make sure that we're giving a good outlook to the students and making them and the administrators realize that we're here to represent them and make sure that their voices are heard. Prior to being nominated for this position, I had the opportunity to serve in a variety of positions around campus. Freshman year, I had the chance to work with Casey Crom as Casey Crom as his aide to the student body president. I got to work with him with directing the student body president and got to observe and contribute to cabinet meetings and assist with the duties of the executive vice president. This past year as a sophomore, I had the unique opportunity to go on the Abbott Family Leadership Conference. It'd be very hard to describe just what this conference meant to me and how much of a role it played in my life, but I can say confidently that it developed and strengthened the personal values in my life. And finally, just a fun fact that ties together with how I'm going to be able to fulfill this position better is I've served the last couple of years as a member of our NCAA Division I women's basketball practice squad, where I've gained a great opportunity to work on team basketball. And with that, I'm open to y'all's questions.
We'll now move to a 5-minute period of question and answer. I'm going to start by recognizing myself, actually, Speaker Hood. Mr. Alders, you mentioned Abbott Family Leadership Conference, and we actually went to the conference together. Can you just speak more for those who are not here on what the conference is and what it is you get out of that conference?
I could talk for hours, but fortunately, it's only, I think, 7:40, so if I could get a couple motions. Don't worry. Man, the MSC Abbott Family Leadership Conference was an opportunity that I had friends go on, and one day I didn't know much about before I went out after it, and came away blown away by the depth of the speakers that we heard and the depth of the other delegates that I'd gotten over the course of it. A couple things that I took away were the quote, that the Abbott family was seeking to plant a tree under whose shade they would never rest. And that meant a lot to me because it shows you the depth in long-term thinking and looking at something and realizing that there's an impact that you might never see, that you might never get returns from, but you gain off that investment by making that person's life a better place. And it gave me a better call also to impact the body of students at Texas A&M University. One last thing that they focused on was, one thing that the Abbott family focused on was that there's only 70 delegates that have the opportunity to go on conference. But if those 70 delegates take the principles that they would gain on conference, and they just reached out to 1 or 2 kids, 1 or 2 other students, then that role ties forth exponentially. And gradually that impact makes its way around campus and everyone's lives are hopefully improved better. Is that it?
Thank you very much. We'll now go to Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services, Commissioner Breakfast.
Briefly.
As this job is, it's very important, number one responsibility is advocating to administrators and lobbying on behalf of what we pass in this body. Can you speak to the experience you've had in such scenarios?
One, you're correct that there is a need to be able to interact with administrators and have a great ability to relate and create, legislate, make sure that the legislation gets worked through, and executed well. One thing that I would say is, up till now, as a sophomore, I haven't been able to gain those relationships. But I would say that I'm a relational kind of guy, and that I would be able to, that I would hope that I would be able to interact with them and win over their trust, just like working with y'all, and be able to get this legislation, get what we need to have done. It's not even just about legislation, it's about creating a relationship. It's about creating a future foundation for future relationships to work on.
We'll now move to Senator Baumann.
Senator Baumann, off-campus position request.
You have 2 minutes.
So I'm working a lot with student services as I'm in that caucus, so I do understand the heavy importance of planning and setting out specific and direct policy goals. You mentioned dining, transportation, and other student services. Particularly with dining, what is the most important policy goal that you have regarding dining, and how do you plan to achieve that goal?
My most important policy goal has to be reflective of campus. But I would say that one thing that I've heard talk of a lot, and one thing that I've seen come up with in my friend groups, and even with people in this session, is the need for viable options on West Campus. With White Creek, with WCL, with Wayner, there's one really great dining option, and that's smack dab in the middle of the Wayner area. We don't have it over at PF, we don't have great ones over at AGLS. So I think expanding dining options over there would be a personal thing that I would like to talk through more, but again, it must be represented over there.
All right, we'll now move this chair turn with 55 seconds.
Chair Turpin, LA. Thank you so much for coming up to speak to us. Now, you mentioned in your presentation that Pyre Square closed up a couple days ago. May I ask where you got this information?
So I think I probably may have said that wrong. The BAT article that came out about it came out a couple days ago, which Chair Page and former Speaker Mitchell worked through. That may not be the best. But there were 2 senators quoted in that. Just discussing the options. I'm not sure exactly when it's closed down, but I know that if it is set to close, that must be dealt with, and that dining options for engineering students should be provided.
With 15 seconds left, we will go to Senator Turner. Yes, you have a motion?
Chair OSCA, a motion to extend the period of question and answer by 4 minutes.
Motion is made to extend the period of question and answer by 4 minutes, or multiple seconds. All in favor of extending the period of question and answer by 4 minutes, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? That passes. Now, Senator Turner. Well, it's actually Crow next. Senator Crow.
Senator Crowe, off-campus caucus, would you please elaborate on how your experience in cabinet has developed your character and how that character in turn works with you for the position?
My experience on cabinet developed my character in the sense of what I gained from the working relationships within the cabinet members. Getting to work with people like Casey, who had the humility to work with Kyle, even though he ran against him in the prior race. Having that chance to work with other student leaders gives you fresh insight as an 18-year-old freshman at Texas A&M. Your eyes are wide open and everyone's talking around you and the world's spinning around. But I will say that the cabinet experience gave me a unique insight into how cabinet meetings work. And I also had the privilege, our student body president was very generous to the freshmen on the cabinet, on the committee. He was very welcoming of our suggestions, of our contributions, and even in there I gained confidence and courage to make sure that my ideas were well stated.
We'll now move to Senator Trevino.
Senator Trevino, it seems that serving this executive board of sorts was like a red shirt for you. As a red shirt freshman, do you think you're ready to take over the offense and succeed, or do you think that's unprecedented?
It's not unprecedented here at Texas A&M University, where we got to see one of the greatest redshirt freshmen of all time, Johnny Manziel, perform pretty outstandingly. But I would put myself more at a prior redshirt freshman who's now about to be a junior, and one who has gained experience from different avenues on campus. Part of which have been SGA, part of which have been the MSC, and then elsewhere scattered, with athletics. So taking that all in, taking that as a common entity and applying what I've gained from those is the best way I can apply that experience.
All right, we'll now move to Senator Bowman. Chair Rivas.
Chair USCA. So one of the other senators mentioned your number one priority when it comes to dining. Let's say, for example, that the Senate did pass a bill that said we should improve dining on West Campus. How would you go about it?
So my next step would be to my next step after the legislation had been passed, I think that's what you're asking, right? Would be to go visit with Hannah or visit with the student body president, meet with the cabinet, make sure that we execute that well, and then to take it from there to the administrators.
All right, we'll now move to Senator Johnson.
Senator Johnson on campus, you do understand how, forgive me, for teaching the process.
Yes.
And you've had the opportunity to understand how the legislation process works and how that moves, starts from an idea and turns into reality. And can you expand on how your knowledge you gained there and the knowledge you gained when it comes to athletics and can help you and just do your job?
One thing that everyone that I've met, or most everyone that I've met,
40 seconds,
gains from different experiences, their living life, and different experiences fuel us with new ideas. They feed us with new ways to look at things. So being involved in different ways, having knowledge from different backgrounds gives me various avenues of experience to draw from when I'm visiting with other people, when I'm meeting with Chair Page, when I'm meeting with different senators, to figure out how best to apply things.
President Kenny, I move to extend the period question answer by 4 minutes.
Motion is made to extend the period of question and answer by 4 minutes. There are multiple seconds. All in favor of extending the period of question and answer by 4 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
The chair calls it on division. All in favor of extending the period of question and answer by 4 minutes, please stand. That passes. So 4 minutes, you'll have 4 additional minutes.
Did that?
Yeah.
Get you out.
All right, we'll now move to Senator Powers.
Senator Powers, College of Education. Permission to practice?
Great.
So I wanted to make sure with what you presented in your presentation, that I was kind of getting your philosophy correct with what you presented in CIABIT. So in this position, what is your plan, I guess personally, to represent the students as student services VP? And do you plan on kind of being, is it more like a passive role, an active role? There seemed to be like trickle down things. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to clarify kind of specific ways you want to be more of a face to the students.
Certainly. One thing that in my as I've gained more knowledge about the position of Vice President of Student Services, is that it requires flexibility, and that you have to have an open-ended approach to open-ended ideas to approach different challenges that may come up. So although my philosophy would be very active, I want to make sure that the students that we're anticipating and that we're getting to represent the students before those issues come up. We just like with the wind chimes around campus, making sure that we work with students who have issues with their daily lives, making sure that we're representing them well. Now that is obviously dependent on the relationship that we have with current senators and people that I work with and the administrators. But I do want to do, it's a position that requires a lot of work, and I want to give it my all to make sure that work gets done. No. Done well.
Thank you.
All right, we'll now move to Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services, and I'm asking this question just purely to see how much you've researched the position. Can you name any of the chief administrators that would be critical in performing your job well?
I cannot.
Thank you.
All right, we'll now move to Pro Temp Finney.
Pro Temp Finney, was Vice President of Student Services your first preferred position?
It's not.
We'll now move to Sarah Lewis.
Senator Lewis, on-campus caucus. Stepping into this position and not knowing much about the legislative side of things, how do you expect to work with your relationship, give an opportunity with Chair Page, seeing that he knows a lot of administration and a lot of student service representatives that we have here on campus, and how do we plan to utilize some of the resources that
Great question. I look at that as an opportunity to learn from Chair Page, as a chance to say, you have much more experience than I do. I came in here young, but I want to make the most of it. I want to make the most of your experience, and I want to gain. Like we're on the same team. We want to make sure that the students are represented. We're here for the students at Texas A&M. That's why each one of us is here. So working with Chair Page, working with the other people who have relationships with the administration, being able to serve with them, make sure that our students are best represented.
Senator Schaubby.
Senator Schaubby, after this information, is the role of Vice President of Student Services a legislative role or a role focused on advocating for students?
The role of, I believe that's a role focused on advocating for students. Senator Kubiar with a minute, with 40 seconds remaining, actually. So.
Senator Kubiar, Lawrence, quickly. What kind of, this position includes a lot of talking to administration, people in authority. What kind of experience do you have talking to people older than you, are in positions of authority, speaking experience?
The best experience that I have to draw from is funny enough, working on the basketball team, being able to interact with Coach Blair and Coach Stephanie, the other coaches on staff. It's been really fun getting to learn from them, being able to approach them and still talking to them.
All right, and with that, the period question and answer is now closed. All right, we will now move into a period of debate. Beginning with debate against, and then we'll move to debate for. So candidate leaves the room, and we'll start debate against. 2.5 minutes, we'll switch. I recognize Senator Baumann first for debate against. You have 2.5 minutes. Sorry, howdy.
Senator Baumann off campus. Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
Howdy. So in consideration for the candidate, in consideration for any candidate, we generally take a lot of things into consideration. Among those, we do consider their character, their history with SGA, whether they can be trusted, the circumstances regarding their nomination for this position, and of course, very importantly, their qualifications. Now, while the candidate does appear to be a very personable individual, and I think that he is absolutely, I've heard great things about how a wonderful person he is, I do have serious reservations regarding his qualifications. That being said, I would like to say that, I'm not going to let emotional impulse get into this presentation. I believe that there's no room for that. Rather, I just want to present a rational analysis based on his qualifications that he has listed, also get expressed during question and answer. The first problem that I'd like to raise is that he has no administrative connections. That is absolutely crucial when coming, especially with student services, to have at least some kind of repertoire between that. He doesn't have to be buddy-buddy with every single individual on dining and transportation, but at least having some kind of knowledge of who is in leadership and who is involved there, I think is important, and that is severely lacking in this candidate. Second, he has no real clear policy goals. He's just been very, very vague about a number of things. I think is very important because especially when we ask pointed policy questions, he would just give vague answers. An individual who's going into a leadership position needs to be able to have some kind of straight set policy goal in the mindset. Especially when I asked him the question, what's the biggest issue with dining? He mentioned West Campus, but he didn't say, well, I'd like to put a such and such in such and such. He just said that there needs to be reform. There needs to be something out there. We need clear policy goals for every candidate coming in this position. The final and third thing is just a note of misinformation. I think that this is a little bit troubling, being that he isn't keeping up with a lot of current issues, in the sense that he completely mistook pi r squared. It's not closed right now, it's being debated about, and yet it seemed that he had already been of the opinion that it had been closed off. And so just even on the small details, we know that he isn't well researched yet. And so with these three things in mind, the fact that he has no administrative connections, that he lacks any clear definitive policy goals, and he keeps with vague issues, and finally just the lack of information he has going into this position, I think that it is in the best interest of SGA and the university to deny the candidate for this position in question.
Right, that's it.
With that, I move to for you.
Time to start.
Oh, Paul, okay.
All right, I recognize Senator Trevino. You're not going to start yours.
Senator Trevino, campus. Howdy.
Hi.
I seem to remember our past academic affairs chair having no experience, and I have heard he did a phenomenal job. He was of the Senate. I would be adverse to say that I doubt he had very many connections, but that kind of things develop. And I think that the candidate at hand, has a very good chance at developing those things, and that we have to trust him to be able to develop those connections. And yes, he misspoke, he's human. I don't think that we should hold that against him. He read an article, he corrected himself also. I mean, if you want to hold someone to that, then I mean, you're just being tedious and you're just looking for reasons not to pick him personally. But with that, I yield my time to Senator White.
Senator Wang on campus. Howdy.
Howdy.
So despite not knowing much about administration personally, just speaking from personal experience, I served on the Diversity Commission this past year, and I had no relationships with any administration coming in. I'm a freshman, and I built those relationships from the ground up because everyone needs to start somewhere. And with that said, just as certain chairs have had to build their repertoire with administration, we need to all start somewhere, like I said. And there's an emphasis that he doesn't actually have any experience administratively, but if you actually read through all the applications, you'll probably see that not any of the other candidates were nearly as qualified or had nearly also, he's a sophomore. There is plenty of time to learn the details of what's going on in campus. Plenty of time to learn about the details of what's going on all over campus. Also, just like previous person said, he did clarify that he misspoke about pi r squared. He said that he misread it as the Italian article. And just to finish, he's extremely personable and relationable, and I have full confidence that he will be able to build these relationships and be successful in the position. And with that, I will my time to.
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Senator DVR, Ms. Trice. All right. So we're at college sports. We did that or not. I'm going to be honest. I have reservations about this candidate as well. But they're not due to disqualifications. Every other, like someone said already, he's most qualified of everyone who applied. I think we're focusing on these administration relationships. He has all summer to build those. You don't have to have those coming in to be a great
All right, we'll now move back to debate against the candidate, beginning with Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services. I was really hoping not to have to do this because I'm going to have to work with this guy if he's confirmed. But I have to say my mind. I met with him a week ago, and I'd be the one to tell him that he was actually supposed to advocate on behalf of the student body to ensure his bills be passed. He did not know that was part of the job. We keep talking about him being the most qualified of all the other applicants, excuse me, but he didn't apply for this position. So if you're looking through all of those 70 applications and he's the most qualified in there, then okay. Another thing is, it's been made mention, the previous academic affairs chair, myself, not having experience before coming into my role, and that's categorically false. I had a ton of experience. I'm a freshman in the aerospace department. I've had a ton of experience speaking with the dean, all in the dean's office, on a college level, all through the college engineering. My experience in SGA, yes, was limited, but the skills carry. It's the exact same thing you're doing. It's being effective in your job. And I think that this guy, I mean, he's a great guy. I really enjoy talking with him. I think he'd do very well in some time, maybe next year. But for now, you should put somebody into a position that's going to need training. Multiple times he mentioned going to the student body president or going to me. To a little bit of backstory, I had
no vice president of academic affairs all of last year, and then I got a freshman position who didn't have a lot of these goals kind of at the end, or a lot of these skills at the end of the semester. And while he was a great guy, he did very well. There was a lot of point and shoot. I had to kind of coach him. I had to really be a mentor for him, and it's tough. There's a lot we do here in the legislative body, a lot of things I need to attend to, a lot of things I need to pay attention to here. I can't also be doing the executive job. So I would just hope you guys take these things into consideration. Qualifications, who you know, having these experiences, they're extremely important from a chair's position, because we can pass a lot of great things in this body, but if we don't have someone effectively advocating for what we passed, nothing happens.
Senator Lander, I agree with pretty much everything that previous senator just said. I also want to reiterate that it's true that you can gain and develop these relationships, but if you're serving as the top of that executive vice president position, you should already have this formed out. Something else in the commission. Nice guy, but he just didn't have a lot of concrete plans. He did some research his own position. He should have a much clearer vision and actionable items going into the role. And I yield the floor.
Board has been yielded to. We'll now move back to debate 4, beginning with Senator Chung.
Senator Chauncey, off campus, howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
And so, as a freshman, I worked with Mr. St. Alders under the Administrative Executive Vice President, Mr. Casey Crum, and we also worked with
Yes, Senator. That's only out of order in debate concerning elections for.
And we worked under Student Vice President Kyle Kelly. So there are two things that proceeded. You say he doesn't know what he's talking about. I know that he knows what he's talking about because I sat there right next to him, and we understood how ideas turn into bills, from bills that's advocated for, and once those are advocated for, those become a reality. I know that he knows that because I was right there next to him. Additionally, they talk about him not having goals. One of the reasons that he doesn't have explicit goals is because the role of the Vice President of Student Services isn't to do whatever he wants, isn't to write bills. Yes, he works the Senate, but the reason he doesn't have those is because he's waiting for you to write those, and he's going to work with you. And you know, I want to do the same time, so he wants to work with you. And his ability to build those relationships, I think, is an asset. And you should be thankful that this individual applied for this position, and I think he's much informed than which you can see. With that, I yield to you, Senator.
Yes, you have the point.
Candidate apply for this position?
I do not know the answer to that off the top of my head.
I yield to Senator Thomas.
Senator Hernandez, on-campus caucus. Just to briefly mention on what the candidate did not mention, because honestly he's humble enough to not mention this, but as he said in his presentation, he's the third one in his family to attend this institution. Not only that, but that with administrative connections, his brother was a young leader, and I'm sure that his older brother had also other connections as well. That shouldn't be a reason why we don't appoint him to the position that he applied to. He can work through that, and he has the resources with his executive cabinet to be that leader. So with that, I yield the time to the floor.
Floor has been yielded to. We will now move back into a period of debate beginning with Senator Blair.
Senator Blair, liberal arts. Howdy, Senate. I just wanted to point out to you guys that this is a really important position for us as a body. And I do think that it's important for us to have someone that's in our best interest to have someone with some sort of experience. Yeah, I yield my time to Senator Pittman.
Senator Burton.
You have 2 minutes.
So I'll be the first one to say he's a very nice guy. He's a great guy. And he's probably going to have a great career in SGA, but I don't have any desire to see that career begin today. He's severely underqualified, other than being a fish egg almost a year ago. It's incredibly important now to have somebody that's just an all-star in this position when we have so much that's going to be on this guy's plate. There's going to be a spotlight. If he messes up, it's big time. He had no original ideas, and I can understand, you know, his ambition to be in this without any qualifications. That's fine. But he doesn't have enough work ethic to, once he was interviewed for that position, a position that he didn't even apply for, he didn't come up with any original ideas.
Is the senator aware of the applicant's work ethic?
I'm going to call that dilatory.
So it leaves me nothing else to believe that he wanted chief of staff or something like that, was not qualified enough to get that, and was given this vice president of student services as a consolation prize. You know, say it as you will, but I want to stress that all of those chairs over there, look at their opinions, okay? They've been here for a while. They understand how it goes. This is an incredibly important position. Don't ignore it. So that I am.
Floor's been yielded to. We will now move back to debate for the candidates, beginning with Sarah Lewis. Yeah. Should have this right here.
Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
Okay, so Senator Lewis, on campus conference. So we say we want to take SGA in a new direction that allows the new leaders to grow and to develop, a direction that allows for students to move up and learn more about this process that we have here at this SGA. However, when we are given the opportunity to actually allow for someone to learn and partake in this learning experience, we deny them access. The question is whether or not we're committed to actually doing anything that we say we want to do. We say we want to mentor new leaders. We say we want to be a part of a system that is development. But every action that we have and every moment that we are presented this opportunity, we choose not to. So I question whether or not we are lying. Are we a body of liars? Ask yourselves. We have the opportunity to work with a young man who we can mentor. If you want to, you can even pocket him in the sense of you can use him. You have so much ability with this candidate, and you still choose not to use him. So the question is whether or not you're truly committed to working with him, working with new people, working with administration, making sure that leaders for the future are developed rather than sitting on the old blood that is SGA that we're currently
Floor has been yielded to. We'll begin debate recognition against, starting with Senator Beebe.
Senator Beebe, okay, I'm a very nice person. But I'm kind of getting tired of this, like, oh, he's nice, he went to Abbott, we had a mutual admiration society, I told us how my friends, we have to think like clear-minded individuals. Because your friend is running the and if you look at many of his supporters, they were in a little thing with him where they were very close. Flows are nice. I was in AFC. I love flows. But we have to look at someone's fault. And with the people who are going to work with him, who are not evil people, contrary to what many of you seem to believe. Okay? I want to say something. You say you can mentor him. I forgot. You brother said that. I love the idea of mentoring, but this is a position where it's not a mentor-mentee position. It's like we're both in charge. Maybe go fishing on the weekends with Sheriff Bates. They can mentor at that time. But I feel like the time to mentor someone isn't, when you put them in a position. And I love this. This person is a wonderful person. It's nothing against them. All you understand. I don't hate him. I just feel like we should start looking. And he even apply for it, friends. Yeah. And I'm going to give you a position to apply for it. People apply for this position who really wanted it. So let's keep an open mind and go away from the whole, is he nice? Is he mean? Is he good? Is he bad? I think
first of all, did he seem prepared to you up here? Did he prepare himself? Did he get everything in order? Or did he come up here and kind of give us some verbal gesticulations? No, I don't think no. He's nice at gesticulations. They were very fun. But when he when you ask him something, does he use the buzzwords you always put into an essay, like flexibility and, you know, or did he say like, okay, here's what I think we can do in this place for this, for this? So that's all I'm saying, Prince. Okay? How much time do I have left?
You have 5 seconds.
So I'm going to finish by saying, Mr. Ethan Riojas.
You're out of time. We'll now move to period of debate 4. Candidates are in debate 4. I don't know what this is. Seeing none, debate 4. We'll move into debate. Do you have a motion?
Oh, I have a motion.
What's your motion, Sarah?
Senator Hernandez on campus representative, the motion for discussion.
Okay. That's actually out of order.
That's out of order. You have to have the floor to make that motion.
So just to be clear, if there's not debate, we not automatically go to a vote. So, seeing no debate for 10, we'll move to a period of voting. All in favor of confirming Sam Alders being the student services, or vice president of student services, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
That's it. All right. We will now move into a period of consideration for the position of development commissioner. If the candidate could please come forward, and as well as Ms. Harper. Yeah, 5 minutes right now.
Howdy, today. This is Madeline here. She's up for the position of development commissioner. Development's #1 job is to raise the endowment to $1 million so we can function independently of student fees. Who doesn't like that? Madeline brings the most incredible tool set to be able to accomplish this. So I'm excited for y'all to hear from her. Thank you. Howdy, Senate. Howdy. My name is Maddie Carey. I am an electrical engineering major from Plano, Texas. More importantly, I'm a loud and proud member of the Phi Tech Saggy class of 2016. Woo! Okay, cool. So I'm a senior. I'm doing 5th year. A little bit about me. Things that are most important to me in descending order are faith, family, and being Phi Tech Saggy. That's something that was coined by a really dear friend, Rusty Thompson, class of 85. Those are things that he always made clear that were his values, and I hope those feature my values as well. And so vision and values. So an idea I have for next year that I'd really like to develop is creating more of a SGA alumni database, and so this will serve to connect current students with their counterparts, committees, and different jobs and roles like that. So I've been able to do that. I was on muster committee this year and filled in 10 years of former committee members, their position, email addresses, so that we could contact them and get in touch with them. And so I think this would help strengthen SGA as a whole, and also just be a great way to strengthen current students with their counterparts a couple of years ago. And another thing in development that oversees is Aggies.talent, and so this will be the 3rd year, and so it's gotten better each year. We've raised more money each year, but just some improvements. Just expand the reach, expand marketing, get more different students to try out, and get committees more involved as well. Have a couple more incentives with that, so that it's not just a cabinet thing, but it's an entirely SGA endeavor. And so the last thing would be increasing involvement with the foundation and the association. So in terms of getting that database started, the association obviously has the Aggie network, and so using that to get that database built up. And then the foundation, just working with them to grow our endowment. And so that experience, I was muster finance chair 2 years ago. I know the value in this. I've done allocation presentations. I've balanced that budget, and so I know how much this can impact students. And then also I was vice president of PR and marketing for APIO, and then muster sub-chair for awareness. And so I really love marketing. I think it could be used well to increase attendance at Aggies.talent. And then I've also been in charge of a lot of different teams, and so I know the value in mentoring the people that would be on the commission and helping them grow in their leadership roles as well. And the last thing, I do have
experience with the foundation, and so I understand endowments and have relationships with people who are at the foundation, and so I think that could be really helpful. And so with that, that's all that I have for you. I don't know if there's a question. I don't know if this works, but I am done.
Okay. Well, with that. You have a motion.
Sarah Lee. I move for a phone call.
Phone call. Can you please go?
Yeah.
All right. Everyone, please stay in your seats. All right, that's all we have to record. Yeah, we could. We're the sergeant of our. If everyone could please take your seat, that way I don't accidentally count multiple heads more than once. Political science, I'm not math or anything math related. Count 39. We're at
39. I have 39.
Okay. All right, we're at quorum. Where were we? I apologize. I'm in
Q&A.
Q&A. So 30 minutes. Any questions, or did we just start? We just started. Okay, fantastic. You got 5 minutes question answer. Yes, you have a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to move the point of information, since I'm on campus. Can we know how many people are in here and how many people can't leave at one time? Because some of us are just using bathroom breaks. And so that might just be something.
I mean, I was a victim of that as well. Currently, as people keep moving in and out, we're at 39. Didn't see anyone else leave out. We're at 41, is what I'm being told. So therefore, if you see 2 people leave, no one else can leave. So hopefully some people have stronger bladders than others. So we're going to begin question and answer with Riojas.
Cherry CA. So my question just about, your job is basically to raise money. How do you figure that you would go about doing that? Can you maybe
Yeah,
go into detail on
absolutely.
that?
So one of the big ways, I mean, I've gotten better each year, but I think that truthfully, just building relationships with the people that will be donating potentially would be the biggest way to do that. And so by having, for example, I was on Buster Committee, I would love to write a letter to someone who's in my shoes before and just reaching out and saying, this is what I've done. Thank you for, blazing a trail ahead of me. And not having them really say that, not asking for money, but just creating that connection, and then having us separately reaching out to them and giving them a way to give back to SGA if they would like to. So that's one of the big things I would like to hopefully see here.
Thank you.
All right, we'll now move to Senator Lander.
Senator Lander, Corporate Caucus, correction to brief the purpose.
Yes.
I may be wrong on this, but I think yesterday you sang at the Cadet Musical. If so, it was awesome. So yeah, that's cool. The question mark. So I know I've worked with endowments a lot as well for UNC.
Yes.
So adding on to this endowment, so for example with Abby's Have Talent,
yes.
Like the money that's gained from there is just all been transferred directly into the endowment fund, or is it separate until we reach the $1 million goal?
So there's the actual endowment that's accruing, and then there's one that we have access to. And one thing I talked with Grace, who was in this position last year, is talking about getting more of the one that isn't growing interest into the one that is growing interest, because we're not really using a ton of that. And so I'd like to have as much as possible go into the fund that's actually growing interest.
Okay. We'll now move to Senator Crowe with 3.5 minutes.
Senator Crowe, off-campus caucus. My question would be, can you tell us about some of the details? What is your position or your role with Texas A&M Foundation?
Yes, so I am a current Marine Coat, and so I've gotten to talk to a lot of different donors and hear how they've given back to A&M and just how they would like to see that happen, and then a couple of administrative roles within the foundation as well.
With 3 minutes remaining, we'll go to Senator Powers.
Senator Powers, College of Education. Commissioner Rackles,
Bring it.
you mentioned in your PowerPoint specifically creative and strategic marketing strategies. Can you elaborate and just clarify on like any sort of ideas that you have outside of the typical things we see, such as banner ladies?
Yes, absolutely. I'm an electrical engineer. I love technology. I love social media. I think that using that even more and outreach within committees and incentives of having them share things on social media and then potentially helping us or having them basically giving incentives for the more tickets they sell, the more it's given back to the organization. And so just creating those different incentives and working to expand reach on social media as well.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for the nominee? Seeing none, close period question and answer. Moving to a period of debate. Is there any debate against Ms. Kinnear, the position of Development Commissioner? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. Moving to a period of vote. All in favor of confirming Madeline Kinnear to be the next Development Commissioner of Texas A&M Student Government Association, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. That passes unanimously.
Please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Madeline Kinnear,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to faithfully execute to the best of my ability
to faithfully execute to the best of my ability
the duties of the office of state your office
Development Commissioner
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association
to uphold the honor of the same
to uphold the honor of the same
at all times to protect the welfare of the student body
at all times to protect the welfare of the student body
and to promote good relations between the students
and to promote good relations between the students
and those concerned with the university.
and those concerned with the university.
We're now moving to a period. Yes, Senator Turpin, you have a motion.
Chair Turpin,
Chair Turpin, my apologies, Chair Turpin.
I motion to reconsider and enter the minutes for the confirmation of Emma Douglas.
Can you please repeat that?
I motion to reconsider and enter on the minutes for the confirmation of Emma Douglas.
Motion's been made. Is there a second? Yes, you have a point. Ms.
Point of information for Senator Powers' college education. And can there be a clarification of what it means to enter it in the minutes?
Yes, I will defer that to Rules and Regulations Chair.
Chair Rosine, rules and regulations to reconsider and enter on the minutes. It would be to go.
Please stay in order. Thank you.
Completely reconsider the voting on Emma Douglas, but it would be postponed until the next meeting available, which is where it's entering on the minutes. It's saying we'll reconsider the voting, but that the voting happened, but the take to reconsider it goes on the next meeting.
Yes, Senator Kibio.
Written information, Senator Kibio, College of Liberal Arts, is not chief of staff position and needs to be able to work with the student body president over the summer.
No, it absolutely is, but this motion can get passed in only a second. Yes, Senator Lewis.
Senator Lewis on campus, point of information. Can such an action be done when something is voted on unanimously?
We're going to defer that again to Chair Rosine. I've never seen this motion before. It's pulled out of the depths of whatever it was pulled out of.
Chair Rosine, rules and regulations. A motion to reconsider is in order as long as it is made by somebody voting on the winning side.
What is this? If I may, how do we know that someone did or did not vote for this?
Okay.
It was a unanimous vote, but it was not done by roll call.
As okay, so that's where I was going to say. So you can either have voted for the winning side, so if it was confirmed and you voted for yay, you get to reconsider. If you technically did not vote at all, but it was, and as it's a like vocal vote, and there was no nay, then everybody was considered voting for, so they're all eligible to reconsider, and so it's in order.
Yes, Senator B.
Information Center, has new information arise that would shed light on the election?
I have no answer to that question. Are there any other motions of explanation? I just want more clarification on this because I think everyone in the line needs to understand that this is a motion that's put forward and what that motion means.
Okay. Chair Rosine, rules and regulations. The motion to reconsider is in order. It will push this, the decision to the next meeting. It requires 1 second and no voting. What else? A motion to reconsider. It's just for any individual that may have changed their mind for whatever reason. That's why we have the ability to reconsider. So you don't have to have newer information arise. It just, for whatever reason I changed my mind, I get to reconsider if I was on the winning side.
Thank you, Chair Lander.
Senator Lander. Yes. I sit on a minutes. I call quorum.
Point of order.
Yes.
Chair Page, Student Services, there's already a motion being considered, and it was already seconded, so this.
I did not see a second for this.
Point of information?
Yes.
Senator Long, yes.
Well, the chair did not recognize that second. I did not see a second. So motion's been put forward to reconsider, or for quorum call. Is there a second to that? See a second. Yep, you have some, please, by all means.
We should still be considering.
Is it quorum call and interrupting motion?
I'll have to check on that.
I'm ready right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I will see it here.
Point of order, Senator Blair.
Senator Blair.
Just for common knowledge, reconsider motion is the last motion.
Yes, but the reconsider motion that's put forward is not a common reconsider motion. It's reconsider for the minutes. Yes, Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services, point of order, this motion is out of order.
I don't know if that's true or not. We're looking at it right now. We're making a ruling on that, Chair Page. Please. Thank you. Because if a call for quorum is an interrupting motion, then his motion is in order and then we have to do the quorum count. If a call for quorum is not in motion, then he will be out of order and we move back to this that is at hand. Yes.
Point of information, Senator Lander, Corporates. If the quorum call was not in order, and then we go back to reconsider, and there's not quorum, does that not negate that?
If there is not quorum and the chair has not seen a second, then the meeting, if quorum has been called, then the meeting is adjourned. That comments. Yes.
Senator Powers called for education part. So if this action were to take place and there would be a second, would the current chief of staff that we just approved be able to serve during the summer?
Seeing as I have never seen this motion brought forward, I do not have an answer for you. My assumption is that she was confirmed and the reconsideration of her confirmation would mean it's a reconsideration of the minutes, which means that they would be approving whether or not she was approved in the previous meeting, which means that the fact that she was approved.
Okay, no, entering on the minutes means we just re-vote next meeting. The motion to reconsider, entering on the minutes moves the re-vote to a next meeting.
Because this is not in the code, would she be serving in her position? Because it's confirmation that we're talking about.
There would be, no, she's not, she would not have been confirmed yet because of the motion to reconsider.
Point of information,
And just to be clear, it's a point of parliamentary procedure. If you have a question about parliamentary procedure, it's a point of information if you have questions about general information. Yes,
Point of parliamentary procedure. At least to the clarification that I've heard, is it not true that because of how it is in the minutes, and do we have to basically wait for the approval of minutes for that, what has been done by this body to be approved? Because if so, maybe that would make sense, but I'm not completely understanding.
I don't think I'm understanding.
I don't think I'm understanding my question. If someone can
Thank you very much. Yes, Senator Wilson.
Senator Wilson off Kansas caucus, point of parliamentary procedure.
Yes.
If there's not quorum in this room, can the motion for reconsideration be seconded?
No motion can go forward to present. You're welcome. Yes.
Point of order, Senator Blair. Point of information. Did we figure out the? Okay.
I believe it's still working.
It is of like highest priority. So
Our goal is
no, the reconsider this.
okay. Do you mind if I see this? Make sure we're on the same page.
My
no. I'm, yeah, I see that. So one of the points, which was the point about Senator who left about would she be serving this position, she would not be if we went to reconsider. As far as the order, I'm still not seeing anything about the order. I apologize for the time this is taking. We want to get this right. This is a motion that has consequences, and we want to make sure that we're making the right decision on the consequences. Everyone get one of them. It's about
No, I know that. Yeah.
No, like, everyone please sit down until our chair rows. Anyone who's standing in front of this podium in the next 2 seconds will be called out of order. Please remove. Okay, you're out of order. You stand there for another 10 seconds, you'll be called out of order again, sir. Based on regard. Based on regards of weird delivery. Thank you. Okay, so we were on the same day. You can only do and answer. Oh, the proposed view. In this case, we're going so there's no, I don't need
But the difference between
Please stay in order. I would like everyone to please return to their seats. Okay, will everyone please take their seats? I've asked this multiple times, but everyone please take their seats. Will everyone please take their seats? You're out of order. Yes.
Point of order, Chair Page. Or that is not you can't call somebody out of order for standing here.
We're talking about maintaining the order of the room. The chairs are in the order. I ask everyone to please take their seats so that we can focus on this. I consider what you're doing right now to be intimidation. When you walk, thank you. No. Yeah. Yeah, because it's okay, yeah, you're yes, yes.
What information do you need to be live streaming right now? Could we not like cut and then start again? Or is that?
Based on the rules, I'm in public recess. I'm in public executive session to live stream this. So, yeah.
I was looking at the live stream.
Okay, that's right.
So that's gonna be my rules, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Both quorum and the motion to reconsider are privileged motions. You cannot interrupt a privileged motion. So the call for quorum should have been out of order.
All right. The call to quorum was out of order. Therefore, we're still waiting a second on the motion. Local second to put forward. Therefore, the motion to reconsider on the minutes, is that correct? The correct phrasing of that? Motion to reconsider on the minutes because it only necessitates the motion and then a second has passed. This will be reconsidered. The next meeting of the Pennsylvania State.
Now, we call for quorum.
Quorum has been called. Special reminder, yeah, I don't see quorum right now, but we get people in here while I'm counting, we keep this meeting going. One Mississippi. Two Mississippi. Four Mississippi. Five Mississippi. Six Mississippi.
It doesn't allow for time.
7 Mississippi. 8 Mississippi. 9 Mississippi.
Or like 10 people back in a timely manner.
15 Mississippi. 16 Mississippi. 17 Mississippi. 18 Mississippi. 19 Mississippi.
It's not.
20 Mississippi. 21 Mississippi. 19 Mississippi. 23 Mississippi. 24 Mississippi.
No,
I lost count. I actually lost. No, I legitimately did.
We're reconsidering the budget, right?
Yeah.
With the vote or not.
Yay. If we stay in order when you're coming in, I'll call anyone out of order who's talking as they're filing it. Sarah B, out of order. Senator B, I just called you out of order. I said anyone who's talking right now for communication. Quorum has been called. I will now be counting quorum.
Like I know where you're coming from, but
Quorum is met. We can proceed with the meeting. We'll now go into consideration for the Vice President of Academic Affairs.
Howdy, Senate. This is Michael Zimmerman. He's up for academic affairs. Really, there's so many things that go into making a great academic affairs chair, but something I'd just like to highlight is Michael is absolutely brilliant. He's literally brilliant, so much smarter than me. I love just talking to him because he is brilliant. But he brings other some new types of things to the table, and I'm excited for y'all to hear that. So here's my
Well, howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
Like Hannah said, my name is Michael Zimmerman, and I am being appointed to the Vice President of Academic Affairs. And so just a little background about myself. I was raised in Spring Branch, Texas, and if you don't know where that is, that's perfectly okay. Not many people do. It's about half an hour north of San Antonio. And I am a biomedical engineering major here at Texas A&M with a business minor. And then a fun fact about myself, I am actually the fourth person in my family to attend Texas A&M. It started with my father, who graduated class of 79, my uncle who graduated class of 85, my sister who actually just graduated this past December, and then myself. And then on top of that, my younger cousin is actually a freshman here right now. And so my vision to this position is first and foremost to build a solid relationship with the provost, Karen Watson, the various deans, and just faculty in general. And so one of the main things I would be doing is I will be the liaison between Senate and this faculty. And so with that, I want to have these solid relationships so I can go in front of the faculty and advocate strongly on behalf of something that we as students deem fit. And I think these strong relationships are going to be a necessary part to making things that we want to accomplish be passed through. And on top of that, one of the big things is that I'm hoping to be a voice, an active voice of the student opinion in general. And so what we as students think we need to improve on here at the university is going to be something that I'm going to actively push for. And so as the VP of Academic Affairs, one of my main goals with this would be to, first of all, just increase the transparency between what faculty is doing and what we as a student body are hoping to get done. And so a good example of this is the 25 by 25 initiative. As an engineer, it almost seems like I should be expected to know more so about this, but I think that's a big problem with the 25 by 25 is that so much of it is very broad and very general that if you ask a majority of the students, they won't have a clear understanding of what the plan is, how it's going to work out, and sort of deadlines that faculty has set forth. And so going back into my experience now, so This past year, I was the co-director of the SGA Custodian Banquet. And so if you don't know what that is, that's a banquet that we actually just had about 2 weeks ago, in which we just gave a complimentary luncheon to over 500 custodians that work here at Texas A&M. And a lot of that on my part was just me interacting with people at Chartwell's to get custodians off work at that time, and then also working with Rudder and MSC to just make sure everything was planned and would work out great for that day. And then going back even more, so I was in COSGA my freshman year, and I was the development committee member. And if you don't know what that is, that was basically me maintaining relationships with the various speakers and directors that came to conference, and just making sure that anything that they needed, we could provide them. If they had any questions about conference, I would be able to answer those questions. And then, so that's more so my SGA experience. And going off of that, then my academic experience. So I'm a member of the Biomedical Engineers Society, and a lot of that is interacting with various professionals in their field. So whether it's hospital workers, individuals who have started their own company, anything like that. It's been a lot of work trying to just get them to come and speak to us and just give us, advice as to how we can better just the engineering program. And that's actually something that I'm hoping to expand upon with this position, is to not, is to first of all, help the engineering program with, for example, the 25 by 25, but then also to focus on the various other colleges here at A&M. That's a big thing that I think needs to be focused on, and just making sure that all aspects of the university are being benefited. And then one of my favorite experiences that I've gotten to have is also involving research. And so I got to work at the University of Utah this past summer for 2 weeks. And so I was up in Salt Lake City interacting in their research facility with various alumni of that university and just various researchers. And a lot of that is very similar to what some of this other experiences in the sense, in just the sense that anything they needed or any questions that they had, I'd be able to answer them and give them points of clarification.
All right, great. We'll now move into a period of question and answer. Is there any questions for the candidate? Senator Bowman, do you have a question?
Senator Bowman, off campus, just one brief question. You talked a little bit about permission practice. You talked a little bit about building repertoire with the dean and provost, and you also mentioned some current connections that you have with administrators. Can you detail kind of or elaborate on how your connections with current administrators kind of lead you up to the dean and the provost? And in the sense of building repertoire, are you like on your way there and you have some connections to kind of guide you there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm part of the engineering honors program here at Texas A&M, and so I've gotten to interact with Nancy Amato. She's the honors head, or the head of the honors department, and she's been one that's really helped me understand what some of the problems and issues here at Texas A&M are, and that's specifically engineering. I understand that, but going with that, it's one of those things where I've gotten experience just interacting with these head of departments and various people here at A&M, and so that's something that could, I think, relate directly to enhancing those relationships.
Okay. 4 minutes for any questions for the candidate. All right, seeing none, we'll move into a period of debate. Please move room, sir. Right. Is there any debate against the candidate? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. We'll move into a period of vote. All in favor of confirming Michael Zimmerman for the position of Academic Affairs Chair, or Vice President of Academic Affairs, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. That passes unanimously. Please bring him in.
I, Michael Zimmerman,
Do solemnly swear.
do solemnly swear
To faithfully execute to the best of my ability.
to faithfully execute to the best of my ability
The duties of the office of
the duties of the office of Vice President of Academic Affairs
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
to uphold the honor of the same,
to uphold the honor of the same,
at all times to protect the welfare of the student body,
at all times to protect the welfare of the student body,
and to promote good relations between the students
and to promote good relations between the students
and those concerned with the university.
and those concerned with the university.
Congratulations, Mr. Zimmer. We'll now move into here in consideration for the position of Vice President Programming if the nominee and the Vice President please come forward. You have 5 minutes, already had it.
Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
This is Madison Connie. She is up for the position of Programming Vice President. This is a position that I created for Cabinet this year. So I just want to take a brief moment to explain to y'all what this position actually is. So y'all have seen a lot of events over the past year that SGA has done. SGA Tailgate, I Love Texas A&M, but the Breakfast and Stand-Up Toy Drive. Those were all kind of split between multiple roles, and it got to be too much event planning for multiple roles. So I decided to combine it together and make it all of these events under one position. So this position is really a event planning position for programming for the executive cabinet and other branches of SGA. So Madison is wonderful. I'm very much looking forward to y'all getting to hear from her. So, howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
My name is Madison Conley, and I'm a sophomore political science major with 2 minors, 1 in dance and 1 in human resource development. A little fun fact about my family is they're currently living part-time in Belgium right now, so that's super cool. And a fun fact about me is I'm currently contracted in the Corps de Ballet for Texas A&M University Dance Department. Not to be confused with the Corps of Cadets. I have gotten before. I wear a bun, not for khaki, but for the tutu. So, a little bit about my values is that I really value passion for the university as well as creating community, and I hope to do that within exec with the position as well as with the SGA as a whole. And with that, I believe in being a visionary person, which is really essential to this position in my opinion. You have to be a visionary, you have to know what you're going into and exactly what you seek for. So with that, my vision for the position is organizing and keeping a current and updated agenda on all the events happening and coming up to be shared with cabinet, so we have a to-do list on what exactly is going on and when it is happening, as well as working closely with the EVP to know my budget. I've worked with tight budgets, I've worked with loose budgets. I know exactly what that looks like and how to put that on an agenda as well. Direct communication with the VP of Comm. So my job is really, truly in event planning, but I believe marketing is essential to allow the student body to be involved in what's going on within SGA, especially within events, and within SGA as a whole. So working hand in hand with the VP of Comm is essential to me so we can collaborate and get ideas for how we want to market together. And so she knows or he knows exactly what is going on within the position and so what I'm doing so they can market that to the best of their abilities. I hope to assist cabinet members with all event planning to step in whenever necessary, whenever they feel it's necessary for me to be there. Communication and planning, I love to team up with the Senate Constituency Affairs Chair. I hope to be present at Senate meetings and to have a good relationship with the Senate Constituency Affairs Chair to allow that to happen efficiently. Maintain transparency with all members on cabinet. I think that is a process that is essential, as well as keeping up with that agenda. Organization, efficiency, and communication are keys to success. I also believe that being flexible and adaptable are keys to success because you never know what might happen. We need to step in very quickly. My experience is I worked with the Student Government Association for the 2014-2015 school year. I was in public relations, but mostly in event planning. So I worked with all of the listed points below and was able to have a hands-on experience, especially with the SGA Banquet 2015. A little bit about my second point is that I worked with the Kinesiology and Performance Arts Department for Texas A&M University, which is a developing program, and I loved working with that because I got to see a less established program and help them get established. Some key points under that is I worked as a wellness research marketer, so with all alumni, incoming students, as well as guest artists, I was able to provide basically an NFC for all incoming students, as well as to tell donors exactly what's going on, hold banquets for the Kinesiology Department, and hold donor gifts for them as well. So I also planned the Student Choreography Showcase and Dance in 2015. Service spokeswoman for Women's Leadership Organization here on campus, helped organize and market Globe 5K. That was a big thing. We won Best of BCS. We raised over $30,000 for our philanthropy. Awesome. And we created and planned to organize Letter Southco, which is my personal service project in coordination and collaboration with a private mission organization as well as a corporate organization. My professional experience, I worked under High Tide Resources as their event manager from the 2013 to the 2016, currently now serving as their event manager.
And we directed all end-of-year banquets, dinners, and organized events for all distinguished donors as well as their gifts. I worked in youth leadership in Braunfels, so I worked for the City Council in Braunfels in organizing their annual city banquet for distinguished members of the community, as well as for all of their major CEOs and officials in council, and assisted in organizing student recognition banquet for Braunfels for all student recognized people, especially for the Texas A&M Comal County chapter. So that is a little bit about me. I now am open to questions.
The floor has been yielded to questions. Are there any questions for the community? Seeing none, thank you very much. We'll now move into a period of debate. We'll now move into a period of debate for Ms. Cotney in the position of Programming Vice President. Is there any debate against the candidate? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. Moving into a period of voting. All in favor of confirming Ms. Cotney as the Vice President of Programming, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Passes unanimously.
All right, state your name. I, Madison Cotney, do solemnly swear
to faithfully execute to the best of my ability
to faithfully execute to the best of my ability
the duties of the office of
the duties of VP of Programming
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
for the Texas A&M Student Government Association,
to uphold the honor of the same at all times to protect the welfare of the student body, and to promote good relations between the students
and to promote good relations between the students
and those concerned with the university.
Congratulations, Vice President Cotney. We'll now go to consideration of the administrative EDPs. Mr. Landon Woods, you have 5 minutes starting now.
Howdy, Senate. Most of y'all know this is Landon Woods. He serves as the diversity commissioner this year. And like I just did with VP of programming, I want to give y'all a quick rundown of what administrative EDP is. So this position actually did exist last year, but we just didn't have it on cabinet this year. So this position is to aid all of our policy VPs. So LR, Academic Affairs, Student Services. This is just another layer to ensure that we as the executive cabinet are doing a great job taking your legislation and enacting it. Because sometimes there may be bills that get passed that may not fall directly into maybe a certain SSAA, that kind of thing. We want to make sure that, especially in a legislative year where we're passing a lot of bills, that all of our bills are being taken and passed. And additionally, it's a great resource for those policy VPs. Landon has a lot of experience working with administrators, as y'all are going to see here pretty soon. So here's Landon.
Howdy, Senate. Howdy. So my name is Landon Woods, and I'm a junior agricultural economics major from Plainview, Texas. I want to share a little bit about myself with you, why I'm the most qualified person for the position, and what resources I bring to the table. So over the past 2 years, I served in the Diversity Commission 2 years ago as a general member, and in this past year as the Vice President of Diversity and Diversity Commissioner. This year, I led a team of 9 members, and we really accomplished a lot. One thing that I'd like to point out that we did was we encouraged the Division of Student Affairs to create an effective communication module. This module is designed for chief student leaders of organizations, and they will be basically forced to engage in difficult dialogue and meaningful discussion. I think that this is something that is very important for our students and especially our student leaders. One other thing that I did last year during the 68th session of the Student Senate was I introduced SR 6810 with the past Speaker Mitchell, Speaker Hood, as well as Senator Dean. The Aggie Family Resolution ensures that all perspectives and all students' experiences are taken into account when we make decisions here in SGA. So outside of SGA, I've had the opportunity to serve on multiple committees and university committees here at Texas A&M. Most recently, I've had the opportunity to participate in the selection process of the newly hired Dean of Faculty, Dr. John August. Also, my participation in the University Diversity Operations Committee, as well as the President's Council on Climate Diversity, has made me highly aware of current campus issues that students have, as well as given me a more holistic view of higher education in general. I've also had the privilege of serving as an undergraduate representative on the Undergraduate Academic Appeals Panel, and
I've been involved in COSGA, the College of Ag and Life Sciences Student Council, as well as various other organizations on campus. One accomplishment that I'm particularly proud of has happened just recently, and I've guaranteed funding indefinitely for 6 key student leaders to attend a social justice training over the summer, and this will be for every year. These students will then come back and implement a social justice commitment at this university. The last thing that I think makes me the most qualified person for this position is my solid relationships with administrators. So over the past year, I've documented more than 150 hours in either group discussion or one-on-one discussion with key administrators here at Texas A&M. So moving on to a little bit more about my vision and values for the position. My ultimate goal is to serve the students, obviously. Second to that, I want to serve SVP Wimberly in any capacity that I may be needed. I also want to provide assistance and accountability to our policy vice presidents and carry out their legislation. As administrative executive vice president, it is ultimately my responsibility to maintain relationships with administration. It will be, I will do my best to make sure that all communication between student government and administration is dealt with in the utmost professional manner. I will also work to personally maintain awareness of current student issues and concerns, as well as student organizations' issues and concerns. One thing that I've noticed over the past year is that we in SGA don't utilize the resources here within the Coldus building. There are many staff within student activities that have an unlimited amount of resources for us, and I think that we need to use those strategically to execute our goals. And last but most importantly, I want to do my best to build relationships between SGA and administration. I've always said that there's no fiduciary, Senate has no fiduciary power, but our power lays in influence. So I want to make sure our administrators feel appreciated and that I lead those relationships better than I found. That concludes my presentation, and with that, I'm open to questions.
We'll start with your question and answer, starting with Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services, could you explain a bit more about your resolution and specifically what came to be because of it?
Right, so the Aggie Family Resolution was created last year. Speaker Mitchell wrote the resolution, and it was in response to the racial incident that happened on campus on February 9th. And basically what SR 6810 says is that Student Senate and student government will research, legislate, and advocate on behalf of students and underrepresented students to make sure that their voices are heard and that their opinions are taken into account. Does that answer your question? Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
You can repeat it before.
All right, so could you explain any tangible result that came from it, if any, or was it just a resolution calling?
Definitely. So because of the resolution, we ended up creating an ad hoc committee, the Climate and Climate Inclusion Committee of Senate. And with that, we have started having conversations with multiple administrators about reforming the ICD credit, which is a credit that each of you are required to take. And this will talk about how students will be educated in regards to diversity and inclusion, how we will approach conversation, and how we will approach dialogue. So I think that that is probably one of the biggest things that's come out of the Senate resolution, something that I think is very essential to our learning as students in the university.
Thank you. All right, Senator Rodriguez.
Senator Rodriguez, Liberal Arts. Permission to preface? All right. The Diversity Commission's funding decreased under your leadership. This year was also the first year that you introduced the candidate meet and greet at the VPSA House. At this event, there were about 20 food trays bought with the funding for Diversity Commission, yet only about 30 to 40 students showed up. There was a lot of excessive food left after the meeting, and I don't think the funding went to the right people in this case. So my question is, how would you have done things differently to better utilize your commission's funding and to make an impact within diverse student populations on campus? How would you have done things differently?
So this year was our first year really to try to delve into elections and get involved in elections, make people aware. I struggled getting RSVPs back from students, and I expected a few more students there. I think since then I've gone back and reapproached how that might be done better. But that money did not go to waste, I can reassure you. Fortunately, that evening was a Senate meeting, and there were a lot of people here for open session, and that food was outside and served to people. So that money definitely did not go to waste.
Are there any other questions for the nominee? Seeing none, we close period of question and answer. Move to period of debate. Is there any debate against the nominee? Minor, if you're debating against, consult with this. Yes, Senator Rodriguez. You have Chris State Community College, you have Jennifer, sorry, you have
Senator Rodriguez, Liberal Arts Caucus. I don't have any qualms with the nominee personally. I just think that his work done in the Diversity Commission is representative of the back scratching, the I know you, you know me, so let's be buddies that's apparent within SGA. I believe that his wasting of that money could have been better used, and I think that it ended up just being kind of a self-serving kind of thing and feeding other SGA members. Yeah, and with that, I yield the rest of my time to the floor.
Floor has been yielded to. We'll begin with debate 4, starting with Senator Baldwin.
I'm gonna go ahead and Cherry Oz.
Cherry Oz, CA. I just want to say that, first of all, the one thing he mentioned, this idea of quid pro quo, machine, I think that's absurd. I don't think that's founded in any way. The one thing he mentioned was like wasting money and doing things bad. All that happened was there was a fundraiser, there was food there, and all the food wasn't used. I don't think that's exactly something that people are going to say, oh, I want to waste food on purpose so that we can harm the student body. No, I don't think that's what's happening. I find that claim absurd in the previous question.
All right, previous question has been moved. There are many seconds. There are multiple seconds. We'll now move into a period. Or all in favor of moving previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
We will now move into period voting. All in favor of confirming Brandon Woods as the administrative EVP, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
All right. It's confirmed.
I, Landon Woods,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to faithfully execute to the best of my ability
to faithfully execute to the best of my ability
the duties of the office of
the duties of the office of Administrative Executive Vice President
for the Texas A&M Student Government Association,
for the Texas A&M Student Government Association,
to uphold the honor of the same
to uphold the honor of the same
at all times, to protect the welfare of the student body,
at all times, to protect the welfare of the student body,
and to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university.
and to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university. Thank you.
And for the final consideration of the night, we'll move to consideration to the Vice President of Communications, Marlene, you and your gang. 5 minutes, starting now.
Howdy, Senate. Last one. This is Rebecca Lancaster. She is up for the position of Communications Vice President. This is reworked a little bit from this year's Vice President of Public Relations. This person will work solely with things like media outreach, writing press releases, that kind of thing. Anything you think of Communications Vice President. Rebecca is the best public speaker I know. And she is just incredible. So I'm so excited for y'all to get to hear from her tonight and get to learn more about her.
All right, howdy, Senate.
All right.
We've almost made it to the end. Congratulations to all of us. My name is Rebecca Lancaster. I'm a freshman communication major from Corpus Christi, Texas. It's about 4 hours south of here, the sparkling city by the bay. It's not necessarily. It's a great place to visit, terrible place to live. Fun fact about me, I love presidential history. I can't tell you why I love it. If you ask me, I can tell them backwards and forwards. I can't tell you why I love it, but I can tell you that James Madison was the first president to wear long pants rather than shorts. So that's something to take up. All right, so let me just talk to you a little bit about my experience. I have an extensive background in debates, public speaking, and journalism. Last year, I was #1 in the state for congressional debate. That is something that I like. I also enjoy public speaking. public speaking is something that I'm extremely passionate about. I think that there are incredible ideas that SGA has, and I'm committed to making sure that they are represented fairly and accurately. I was also on the public relations team last year that focused on creating proactive relationships with many media outlets, both local and regional. We attempted to advertise and promote different events that the student body was holding at different times throughout the year. And that helped me learn how to create an effective social media presence. I think that social media is the most prominent way to reach students across campus. It's something that everyone has. It's something that's extremely important, and it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. I also served on Traditions Council this past year. Traditions Council gave me an extreme amount of experience in branding and holding the brand of an organization. I learned how to accurately represent not only the traditions of Texas A&M, but Texas A&M itself, and to prospective and current students. And so that was something that gave me a lot of experience conveying ideas effectively. I also lobbied on behalf of Texas Electric Cooperatives. I went up to DC a couple of summers ago for 2 weeks, and we built strategic communication plans in order to lobby effectively legislators that hopefully would pass legislation that was friendly to the cause. My vision and values. I'm extremely dedicated to progress. I think that when we stop progressing and we start to stagnate, I think that that's a problem. We have to realize that we are probably representing the most diverse and incredible student body in the world. And so I think that we definitely have to take pragmatic steps forward to making sure that they are adequately represented and that their needs are met. I want to begin to restore an open line of communication between the student body and between student government. I think that we've seen an increasing amount of discord between the two, and I don't think that that needs to happen, because if students were aware of the great things that Texas A&M were doing, I think that the climate or the public's perception of Texas A&M would be a lot more positive, and I think that that is something that we'll definitely focus on primarily this year. I also want to give students more of an opportunity, if they are looking for one, to interact with members of SGA. I think that people have great ideas, and I was a student and had a great idea. I worked with Kyle Cook and several other members of the executive cabinet to pass something called the 12th plan. That was comprehensive dining reform that was focused on meal trades, and I took action, but I would like to see there be more of an initiative on SGA's part to interact with their students. And I would do that by creating more of a social setting, a casual setting for students to be able to interact with people like you and me who definitely have their best interests at heart. I would create new and innovative campaigns to gauge the public's feedback. That would just come through an increased involvement on social media. And I will begin to build proactive relationships with social media outlets like the Battalion, the Eagle, KBTX, and KAGS. And I will continue to build a brand of SGA. I think that SGA is definitely something that I'm passionate about, and I think that the opportunities that we have to serve the student body are numerous, and I would like to help promote the brand of SGA and to make information available to those that are looking for it. And with that, I'm open for questions.
We are now open to questions. Thank you very much, Tiffany. Are there any questions for the candidate? No? All right, seeing none, we will close the period of questions. We'll now move into yes. You may thank you. We'll now, that's the chairman, Chinese speaker. We will now move into a period of debate, starting with debate against the confirmation of Ms. Lancaster for the position of Communications Vice President. Seeing none, debate is one-sided. We'll move into a period of debate. All in favor of confirming Rebecca Lancaster to be the next Communications Vice President of the Student Government Association, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. That passes unanimously. Please be ready.
I, Rebecca Lancaster, do solemnly swear to faithfully execute to the best of my abilities, the duties of the office of Vice President of Communication for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association. To uphold the honor of the same. At all times to protect the welfare of the student body. And to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university. to say it one more time.
And to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university.
And to promote good relations with the students and those concerned with the university.
Congratulations, Ms. Lancaster. We will now move into a period of committee reports. Senator Lewis, you have a motion.
Senator Lewis, on things I move to overrule the ruling chair on the previous call for quorum.
You clarified.
All right, hold on one second. Let me get this out right. I move to overrule the ruling of the chair that the call for quorum is out of order.
There's been a second. All right, it's been moved. I believe that's a debatable motion. Yes. If I remember correctly. The ruling of the chair has been called. The ruling of the chair has been. What's the actual? There's a word appeal. It's vice chair. What? Appeal. Yeah, appeal. The decision of the chair has been appealed. That's the term I was thinking. So. Yes, Senator Kibble.
Point of information, Supervisor Pleasant. Can you explain exactly what we're appealing? Right?
My understanding is that the decision of the chair, which is me, is being appealed in concern to me calling the quorum call while back out of order. Yes, Senator.
Information Center of the College of Dibs. So, in kind of a domino effect, it's questioning the call about reconsidering.
Yes, because
that affects that. Okay.
the consequences. Yes, Senator Mockford.
Senator Mockford, College of Agricultural Life Sciences. Point of information: if this is to pass and it overrules the quorum, if the quorum overrules the motion to reconsider, does that cause all of the business that was transacted after the motion to reconsider to effectively be null?
If the motion for quorum, yes, I believe so. Because if it's a motion, I'm happy to elaborate. If it's a motion if the quorum is then called, well, I don't even know how you can call it, bring a call back out of order on a quorum, because then we have to go back and count. Everyone knows what we're doing to decide if we were or were not quorum. So the consequences of that quorum do not, because the count never happens. Yes.
Point of parliamentary procedure.
Yes.
If this were to pass, would we not just go back to the original motion to reconsider and go from there? Because you would go back to the amendment or the motion that was then being.
No. It would go back to the quorum call. And at that point, we would be doing quorum, be counting on the quorum. I actually do not think that would affect any other ruling. You're just challenging the ruling of the quorum is what's being challenged. Correct. Yes.
Point of parliamentary procedure.
Yes.
Since the quorum was attached to a specific motion, though, in regular precedence, would that not only then apply to that motion?
Chair Student Services did not say anything. That's correct. Is that word? That's true for you, Senator.
Senator Review on-campus caucus. Point of information.
Yes.
Isn't the attendance being recorded via video?
Yes, it is. But if you look at the video, there's something you can't see. Yeah, so like that whole, like the majority of this side of the room, you cannot see. Yeah, it's being recorded from. I'm being recorded from here. Yes, Chair Norman.
Point of parliamentary procedure. Senator Lander, Clerk of Office, Court of Parliamentary Procedure.
Yes.
Since the quorum call was attached to a specific motion, wouldn't it only then apply to that motion involved and not any other motion that happened after it?
It would. See, but the problem is that if the quorum call is in order, right, then we have to go count quorum, and if quorum is, at that point, once quorum is counted, if there's not a majority of the members of the body, then we should automatically adjourn.
Permission to follow up?
Yes. State your name.
Centerland or Corporate Office, but it was only attached to that one specific motion.
I call it quorum has effects on every single other motion.
Point of parliament.
Yes.
Chair, you're on CA. So correct me if I'm wrong, but let's assume that if this motion is ruled out of order and it's due to go to quorum call.
Yes.
For all of the purposes here, do we go back in time to when that quorum was originally called and anything that happened after it could not happen if quorum isn't reached? Or let's say that quorum is not reached. Do the decisions we made after that still happen?
The consequences of the quorum call. Okay. If it is found that quorum was in order, then we would have to go back and actually count the quorum at that point in the meeting.
Permission to call us.
And let me see if I can walk you through this. So we call the quorum at that point, all right? And the consequences of that would mean that every decision afterwards would be affected.
Okay, so that's it. Okay.
Yes. Yes, sir. No, sir.
Senator Nelson, apologize for my silence. Point of parliamentary inquiries.
Yes.
Because the motion to reconsider was a privileged motion and the motion of quorum was a privileged motion, wouldn't they not be attached to each other? And the point of, or the quorum would be its own motion and the reconsider its own motion. They're not attached. It's not like this is an amendment to this or this is affecting this motion. Any other, this is its own motion.
Well, the motion, what we're challenging is whether or not it was out of order. And I call it out of order, meaning that it could not move forward because a privileged motion is already set forward. You can't interrupt a privileged motion with another privileged motion.
Commissioner, follow-up?
Yes.
So even if it is in order and we rule it in order to quorum, the quorum still cannot affect the reconsider because that is its own motion, correct? Because this is its own motion,
yes.
And this is its own motion.
Yes.
So if this one's out of order and this one's not, this one isn't attached to this one, I don't see how this could affect the other one.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. I think Senator Mark might have something to say.
Senator Mark will call back. Since it says we kind of established they're both privileged motions, as we consider was presented, introduced first, then the motion for quorum call was introduced after. Motion for the business for the reconsider has to be considered first before the quorum call.
Absolutely.
And if the quorum call is.
But there was no second before the quorum call.
So
therefore, the motion was never affirmed by anyone before that. And so I called that motion out of order because it was in the place of another privileged motion. But that motion has not yet been completed at the
Commission follow-up.
Yes, you may.
And so since the quorum calls, if challenging the quorum call, any business after that's going to be effective null, correct? So all the confirmations that we have gone through will not be considered since we've gone to adjournment.
Yes. Yes, Senator Lewis.
Senator Lewis on campus call. I move to withdraw my motion.
Alright. So we will now move into a period of yes.
Senator Lewis on campus call. I move to reconsider the reconsideration of revisiting the minutes.
I believe that's out of order. The only way you can reconsider any motion is if you voted for, it's for a vote. Motion to reconsider is a motion for a vote. If you vote for it, then you can move to reconsider. Yes, Chair. Senator
Lander, Corporate Caucus. I move to rescind and expunge from the minutes the motion to reconsider.
I actually believe that is in order. Again, you guys are pulling out motions that.
It's not in the back there.
It's not, I doubt it is in the back. So that's rescind. Can you repeat that, please?
Rescind and expunge from the minutes.
There's been a motion to rescind and expunge from the minutes, and there are multiple seconds. There are multiple seconds, but there's a point of information and Senator Powers.
Senator Powers, education.
Point of information.
Yes.
Just to clarify, the expungement of 20 minutes would mean that, for instance, in the archives of River is taking minutes, we have to completely strike out any mention or debate that went on during that time period for that time.
Yes. The rescission or expungement of the minutes would mean that particular order of business that happened in the meeting would then be removed. Because it's not in the minutes, that it never happened. That's, yeah. Yes, Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services, does not the video record also serve as a living minutes that we use for consultation?
I mean, it does, but the motion of the minutes, the taking of the minutes is the official ruling of what happened during the meeting. Look, I don't make the rules. Yes, Senator Mocker.
Senator Mocker, college back for this. And this was point of parliamentary inquiry. Doesn't a motion to rescind require a piece of article of business that has been voted upon? Which, and my question comes up with that is, since we did not vote on the motion to rescind and enter onto the minutes, can we actually rescind that motion?
If what you're saying is true, then no, we cannot rescind it. I'm waiting on our rules and register. It's great.
Right.
Oh, shit.
Did one over.
Move the seat.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. So use the content check on that.
We're getting all the official rules because some of these are pulled from the themselves. Hey, Lander, what's the original motion to remove some of the striking?
Please remain in order while we're examining this. Hey guys, I've called people out of order throughout this meeting for talking. So please stay in order. Yeah, yes, Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services, I called for the orders of the day.
The orders of the day have been called. So let's go back. So period of what? Yes, sir. Senator Lander, if you don't mind.
Senator Lander, Corrigan Caucus. I move to appeal from the decision of the chair that the motion to reconsider and enter into the minutes was not debatable.
The motion to reconsider.
It is debatable when the vote takes place. Rules and regulations.
Yes.
Rules and regulations. Chair Rosine, rules and regulations. It will be debatable next meeting because for it to take place, it required the 1 second, which moves it the rest of it to the next meeting, which is when we will consider the and vote upon the motion to rescind, which would be denying, like, going back and pulling away her confirmation and moving to, like, and reconsidering it for yada yada.
Do you need me to explain it to you?
In this case, the motion to reconsider. It says here, it is the case.
Motion to
We have
It doesn't say. Much over your staff.
There's a section.
You come up here. No, I understand. Yes, Chair Page, please say it order.
Chair Page, Student Services, I move to adjourn.
I second that. Okay, motion to adjourn has been made. Local seconds. All in favor of adjourning the meeting? I'm actually just gonna go ahead and make y'all stand. All in favor of adjourning the meeting, please stand. Are y'all standing? Okay.
Point of information.
Yes.
Senator Rodriguez, liberal arts.
Point of order. Oh, yeah, that, we're on a motion to adjourn that, that's out of order, actually. All right. Here, for adjournment, I just stand. Wait. I'm gonna go back out. Roseanne, are you?
Yes, okay, so what is it?
Are you voting to adjourn?
Yes.
22, okay. 22, all opposed to adjourn, please stand. Okay, guys, y'all gotta stay standing, please. So that was a vote of 22 for adjournment, 20 against. So meeting's adjourned. If anyone would like to speak with me about this meeting, if you have any questions, I know several people asking me during the meeting about this point, I would love to talk about that.
I would also like to say.
Oh, yeah, save your closing roll call, by the way, so you're not cut it out.
All right, and before y'all start packing up, what it makes my life easier and trying to make your life easier, please, in my quarterly fashion, place the placards in any order, but in a order, and then put them somewhere in some stack. And meet with your chairs afterwards if you have any questions, if you want any kind of information. Now let's get the flow rolling. We got this. Anyway, thank you deliberately. Chief Justice Jay.
Please say in order.
Speaker Hood.
Howdy.
Myself, Chair Rosie. Howdy. Chair Broach.
Howdy.
Chair Rios.
Howdy.
Chair Loving. Chair Page.
Howdy.
Chair Turpin.
Howdy.
Chair De Leon.
Howdy.
Senator Abdullah.
Howdy.
Senator Archimedes. Senator Bauman.
Howdy.
Senator Beal.
Howdy.
Senator Beerley. Senator Blair. Senator Foster. Senator Brown. Hunter Brown. Senator Nick Brown.
Howdy.
Senator Cook.
Howdy.
Senator Cox.
Howdy.
Senator Davis. Senator Day.
Howdy.
Senator Dean. Senator Diaz.
Here.
Senator Eads. Senator Ferguson. Senator Gimbel. Senator Giles. Senator Gill. Senator Golke. Senator Gonzalez. Senator Habib. Senator Henderson. Senator Anderson. Senator Hernandez.
Howdy.
Senator S. Senator Linka. Senator Wang. Senator Howie. Senator Ronnie. Senator Johnson.
Howdy.
Senator Kuviar. Senator King.
Howdy.
Senator Crow.
Howdy.
Senator Frumold. Senator Lander.
Howdy.
Senator Langston. Senator Lewis.
Howdy.
Senator Martin. Senator Mathis. Senator McDonald. Senator Milligan.
Please say in order, guys.
Senator Milligan.
People throughout the meeting.
Senator Rockford. Senator Moore. Senator Nelson. Senator Norman. Senator Potts. Senator Peterson. Senator Powers. Senator Powers.
Howdy.
Senator Price. Senator Robinson. Senator Robinson. Senator Ratchet. Senator Ratchet. Senator Rodriguez. Senator Rose. Senator Shucker. Senator Scornianchi. Senator Smart.
Howdy. Please say
Senator
order.
Smith. Senator Smith. Senator Trevino.
Howdy.
Senator Turner. Senator Walther. Senator Wang. Senator Weissel. Senator Ben White. Senator Jay White. Senator Wilson.
Howdy.
Senator Wolf. Senator Wright. Senator Wright. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Have a good summer.
There you go.